this is all about. So that's the update. I'm going to have to work with the CVB for further out advertising dollars and do that, however that would work, in the chamber. And I'll need, for the Saturday, would be Memorial Day to Labor Day, be open some on Saturday, and that would be more towards tourists, not the people that are here that went to the lake. So anyway, so that's the update. If anybody has questions, I can talk, I guess, after. So
I just have to make a comment. Jeff has allowed me a couple different times, quite a few times, to go and visit. And as I grew up as a young kid, I used to deliver papers there. And so it's a lot of a change from back then to what it is now, and it's just beautiful. So,
yeah. So
very well done.
And Tri-Valley is going to have an open house soon. I can't speak for them when, but soon. And then after that point, we should have both videos working where people from town can just go and watch the videos. In the atrium area, I guess I left out a big detail. When you get to the atrium area, there will be stations with different themes, architectural, educational, so different groups that want to visit it. Well, it's not going to just be look at the atrium. It's going to be stations, interactive stations with different themes. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the council chambers? Chad, anybody on the phone bridge, please?
No, Your Honor, I'll close the bridge.
Thank you.
Agent logged up.
Okay, this brings us to presentations. We have a few of them tonight. I guess we'll start with the Benedictine Living Community. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having us. I'm Cassie Rudy. I am the Foundation Development Director at the Benedictine Living Community of Crookston, formerly Villa St. Vincent.
And I am Lindsay Erdman, the Executive Director.
So we are here and we are requesting $75,000 for the City of Crookston for the nonprofit grant to go towards our elevator project. We have 3 elevators in our business, and it can go to slide 2. Thank you. So our Summit building, this is a nice picture of it. It was built in 1950, where it operated as St. Francis Hospital, and we're still using the original elevators in the Summit building. There's 2 of them from 1950, so 70-some years old. The electrical portion was updated in the 90s, so about 30 years ago. And, the reason that they're really a main focus is because parts are obsolete now. So if these elevators were to break down, there's no available parts. And, I don't know if you have anything to add, Lindsay?
Yeah, it's just a main focus for us. So it's a lifeline for our buildings where our kitchen is in the basement, and we'll get into that. So it truly is a lifeline to make sure that all of the needs are being met. And so if our elevators were to break down, it would truly be a hardship, not only for our residents, but staff and vendors and anyone basically coming into our facility. So definitely a push to make sure that these are moving forward. So
yeah, so it's kind of been put off, and we can't put it off any longer. So the Villa St. Vincent was added on in the 70s to the Summit building, and we can go to the next slide. So when it was constructed, it was kind of planned to use the kitchen and the power plant and different things from the original hospital building to kind of save money on the new construction. And so, with that, there is a service elevator that kind of goes in between the villa and the Summit. So to bring, food carts from the kitchen in the basement of the Summit up to the residents at the villa, and also from the basement of the Summit up to the Summit tenants in the assisted living. So, we have the Villa St. Vincent, which is the nursing home side, and then the Summit, which is the assisted living side. And so we serve many people. We serve about 50 residents in the Summit side and about 90 on the villa side. So there's a lot of people to feed. All of our maintenance department, they bring carts up on the elevators when they need to fix something. Our laundry department is in the basement of the summit, so they have to bring carts up to bring fresh linens and everyone's laundry. We can move to the next slide. At the summit, they have 5 floors in the summit building, 2 elevators. It allows for safe transportation of all of our tenants to get to meals, to get to activities, to enjoy the outdoor spaces, to get to the exercise room, to get to church services, along with all the other amenities that we offer. It allows our staff to bring their medication carts from floor to floor. It allows our tenants to get from floor to floor just to be able to visit with each other. And these elevators, as I said, were original from 1950. They tend to break down at times. We have to have chairs bungee corded inside of them in case a tenant were to get stuck in there for a long period of time. We've had to call the fire department before to assist with that, and so it's getting to be the time where we have to do that. We can cut to the next slide. So we have been fundraising for this for quite a while. So work has begun. Like I said, that service elevator in between the villa and the summit is kind of the lifeline. So that was the first portion to be done. And as we've kind of gone along with this project, prices, of course, have increased for parts and different things. As is everything else in the world. And so, as we have kind of moved along on this project, prices have gone up. We can go to the next slide. So with the work being done on that service elevator, we were able to see that since September 19th, so in a month period, that elevator was used about 7,500 times. So that's over 260 times a day that elevator is being used, just the service elevator between the villa and the summit. It is so important, because of the use.
So it brings up, like Cassie had said, the 3 meals a day, 2 snacks a day, kind of putting it into perspective. Laundry carts, maintenance carts, vendors, church services. So 299 times a day is pretty significant of getting people to and from. And so the importance of that, of showing like with the obsolete parts, we have to make sure that we get this pushed forward so that we're able to be able to meet those needs. So that's kind of in perspective for a month's time, 266 times per day. It does get used. So, so we are there. Okay, so with that, just making sure that we are here to be able to provide that possible care to all of our tenants and residents, and that they are able to get to and from to enrich their lives, and making sure that their needs are being met with medications to activities, playing cards and being interactive with their friends on the skilled side and the assisted living side, so making sure that crossover continues to happen. It's just very, very important, and we can't stress that enough.
I'm sorry, could you jump to the previous slide? I think I got this pole kind of in my way, so I couldn't see the whole thing, so I kind of got ahead of myself here. So, this kind of goes through the costs. It started off, around, $500,000, and we're in the $800,000 mark now. Like I said, the prices just keep going up, and we had kind of, fundraised and reached our goal. Started in August with that service elevator, and then we got another almost $75,000 increase. And we've just kind of, we've had such generous donors. We've kind of have been seeking out other opportunities. We are just really, trying to do the best we can, because our operation money is kind of budgeted down to the dollar. And so, you know, any fundraised money kind of helps. And while an elevator isn't the most glamorous project, you know, it's just such a necessity.
You
so-
have 2 minutes remaining if you want to wrap
Okay,
up.
Okay. I guess, do you have anything?
Yeah, so just kind of going back to that, so obviously you see June of 2022, we had, you know, it started at 507,000. We were fully funded in June, and then we got that unexpected increase, and so we just need to kind of, like Cassie had said, all of the fundraising efforts that we've done in the last year have gone towards this project, and so that's how important it is for us as a facility to kind of continue to look at these different opportunities. So again, just wanting to stress the importance of it and the livelihood that it has on our facility and running forward.
Yeah,
So-
and you know, we serve, you know, many people in the Crookston area and surrounding communities. You know, we've been here for quite a while, and we're here to serve people in our community, and we want to kind of maintain our infrastructure and make sure that things are safe for our residents and our tenants, and you know, so we can be here for a long time and take care of people in our community. And just, you know, thank you for your consideration and this opportunity for us to present, because we're just so passionate about Benedictine Living Community and you know, just are thankful for
Serving our
your
community.
Yeah, thankful for everything. So if anyone has any questions for us, let us know.
So basically, you're $75,000 short of the goal to fix the elevators.
Right, yep.
Have you guys applied for any state grants or federal grants?
Yes, so we did apply for, it's a Living Home and Well grant, and basically what that was is we were able to get funds for the inside of the elevators, but that's where it's ended.
Yep, the cosmetic
We
portion.
did- There has been other fundraising efforts, so like I said, in the last year, all of our fundraising efforts have gone towards the elevator project, so we did receive the Otto Bremer grant, and all of those funds went towards the elevators as well, along with all of the other fundraising efforts throughout the year.
And could you tell me what the population again was?
We have right now we have 51 tenants in our assisted living, and we have 90 residents in our skilled nursing home area.
And the 10 minutes has passed. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chad, I just got notification that the live stream, nobody can hear anything. Perfect, wonderful, thank you.
Okay, next up is Crookston Aquatic Boosters.
Good evening. My name is Dan Erdman. I work for American Federal Bank. Was asked a few years back as chair of the Crookston Aquatic Boosters to see if the Aquatic Boosters could become the fiscal agent of the Crookston Ox Cart Day Festival. We were able to do that, and working with the board at that time, started fundraising and having the festival kind of given back to the community and kind of a revitalization of it. At that time, I believe the Crookston City has been giving us a grant every year of $6,000, and we have requested those same funds to be for 2024. Along with the application that we submitted, just kind of a heads up of what it entails fiscally for Oxcart for that 1 week festival. We had a budget of the year before of $80,955 with expenditures of about $70,000. The goal of the organization is to gain capital so we can purchase things rather than renting. So like the canopies and tents, some of the other facilities. Unfortunately, COVID knocked us down pretty darn hard. And trying to get between that and the economy, at one point we had 85 business sponsors. Last year we had 58. So we had a considerable drop in sponsorship dollars. Our goal last year for sponsorships was 45,000, and we just tipped over 30,000, so about 66%. So we are constantly trying to adjust our budget so that we can provide one full week of entertainment for all ages at a price or a cost that will keep it fiscally viable to do that every year. Along with the City of Crookston grant of $6,000, we also do apply for a CVB grant for advertising for $3,000. And we do sell buttons for the event at $5, trying to keep it as cheaply as possible for the week. Last year, we did sell 3,792 buttons. So if everyone used that at least one time, you know, we're just short of 4,000 additional people in town for that week spending money. Most of the dollars that we do get goes for some of the entertainment, but then a lot of marketing. So our goal for next year, or the budget was $80,900. The income that we had last year was $65,000, so a considerable reduction. But for total expenses, we had $67,000 for the year, and our goal then was, or our actual was down to just over 63. So we did reduce our costs as best as we possibly could. Again, still trying to provide a full week of entertainment. Surveys have gone out, and we had an unbelievable response to that. If we could just get rid of the bees, I think we would have a perfect festival. But other than that, the variety of entertainment that we have, the length has been debated back and forth. Don't know where to cut or where to add. It just seems to be a very entertaining week with lots of different events for different age groups. So I guess I was just here to thank you all for the past, and in hopes and anticipation that we can continue this relationship going forward. And if you had any questions from me.
Can I just clarify? I thought in the past that like we had like given money for fireworks. Is that just a blanket dollar amount or what?
It was a blanket dollar amount, but what was described is that it's an overall grant. It's not donated for one particular item. So it's an overall grant that's used for the festival.
We last year wanted to make sure that we had the fireworks, so that's what we donated $5,000. I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, 6? And we stipulated in there that it was to go directly towards the fireworks. Am I correct on that?
We gave them just a general grant. It had been used in the past for fireworks, but there was a general grant.
I was pretty sure that it was specifically, Dale, do you remember that?
I recall something in that regard. That's why I was kind of wondering this whole blanket piece.
I know this dates back a few years ago that, as far as doing the fireworks, the cost went up. I think at one time they could do it for around, I don't know, $3,500, let's say, roughly $4,000. So they came and asked us if we would donate for the fireworks, and the council okayed $6,000 towards the fireworks.
And I thought there was some type of stipulation as to like what the money could be spent or not spent on, since it was a city-funded thing. So can we just look into that and just
Sure.
double check?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, if there's a specific thing that the city wants those dollars to go to, it will be advertised, sponsored by the city of Crookston. This last year, it was just told that it was a $6,000 grant. And I mean, the money goes in, the money comes out. There's,
No, absolutely. I think
so-
it was more of a logistical piece that like the city couldn't provide it unless it was like somehow going to something very specific. So I think it's more a logistical piece for us.
You bet.
But yeah, I appreciate your.
Yeah. You bet.
Just out of curiosity, what is putting on the fireworks show, has that gone up in price?
Like everything else, it continues to go up in price. We do take advantage of an early purchase, so we do get a discount the earlier we do it. So if we do pay for it in December for the next year, we do get a discount, but it's right in that $5,500, $6,000 range.
In their budget proposal, it does say fireworks 5,000.
We got an extra discount last year because we went forward on additional years. So they locked in the price for us additionally. Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep. You bet. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, next is Crookston Area Chamber of Commerce. I guess.
So I was just speaking with a chamber member about their presentation. So could we switch if they were gonna go next? Would that be okay? The DCDDP in the chamber?
Yeah,
Okay.
chamber is up, and we can do downtown Crookston development right after.
I'm doing the DCDP, yes, please. And
So
the
no-
chamber- The chamber may be on in just a minute. They may not present.
So that no representation from the chamber is here then?
She's in the hall. I'm just.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
no problem.
We're working on it. There's just kind of didn't know there was a presentation to be
Okay.
made. And just trying, this is the one
Giving them
chance
some
to get.
extra time.
Right.
Yeah, just, this is the
Sure,
one
no
chance
problem.
to even just wing it and just say, hey, we need funding, really running on fumes, whatever,
Sure.
so.
Yep.
I'm in this, kind of the same boat, but, I've been on the DCDP since the beginning, so I can answer questions at length, so.
Sure.
Our funding for the DC request, is $52,000, $40,000 from the city, our total funding, $40,000 from the city and $12,000 of donations that we'll figure out. If people aren't familiar, the DCDP has been doing projects. We did a lot of food trucks downtown a couple years ago. I think we figured over 6,000 people visited those. But our funding request now is, we've been doing the Tuesday Tunes, where we have a live band down in the Old Wayne Hotel parking lot. And usually those bands are pretty reasonable, but we're looking for $5,000 for next year to keep that going. And then also $5,000 for the Chalk It Up Festival and Food Truck Festival. That's usually in the fall, if you're not familiar with that. And then the rest of it is really capital assets for the city that we're just asking that either we do it or they do it or however it needs to be done. But we've got benches for $16,000 for downtown, waste receptacles for $5,000, and then we've also got furniture, fixtures, and equipment of $9,100. I'll get to that in just a minute. Let me come back to that. But signage for $11,900, which rounds it up to $40,000. And that's really what the signage piece is really something that we've talked about for a long time, but we're really just ready to move forward with. City parking lots, maybe wayfinding to different locations of what's where, just make it easier to navigate the downtown. And that signage is somewhat restrictive along Highway 2. We've got laws and stuff, but to work on that. So that's our 40,000, our 52 total, but 40 from the city. I guess I don't really have much more of a presentation than that, other than that's to give you some background as far as our funding, how we initially got funded from the city was great. There was a $44,000 transfer of city funds to the DCDP. And then the idea was that was a 3-year plan that was going to be $140,000, just rough estimate. Well, with the different administrations over the years, what happened is we were going to have a person, we had a great person, but the board was it wasn't a wise choice of money at the time, and it was really more the board than the person. The person was great. But when we decided to stop that relationship to save the money, the 40-some thousand through the process, then the next 2 years we didn't get funding because we didn't have a person, because we thought it was more fiscally responsible not to have a person. But then we were kind of told no the next 2, and it's been very many staff changes, and it's, but really we just kind of used the original money from way back when, and we just really are out of money now. We're all the way down to nothing on that. So it's just a matter of if we want to fund, some of these fund events or not, or maybe the capital allocation for the more permanent things, the city thing, that's fine. Or maybe we should jumpstart it and try to help take care of that. That's what we're kind of funding with a lot of these dollars. So it's a little bit easier to say, what did your group do, when we say it was those $19,000 with the benches. So we don't have to say we had a person, well, what did they do? It's harder to get to the result, which is what we need, the instant result, instead of the branding of our downtown or more of the marketing or promoting, which is not really what we're using these dollars for. So, any questions about the downtown group or
Jeff, have you guys reached out to like the CVB and asked for funding from them? Because I would think that some of the things that you guys are doing would really kind of align with that as far as funding, and they have quite a bit of money.
Yeah, I'll personally be going to them for the 4A experience. So at that same time, I'll just turn around and switch roles and then see, yeah, for sure. And that's pending. I've reached out to them, and Beet Harvest just got done, obviously. But I think in November that we'll be having meetings about a lot of downtown stuff, and really, they do have a lot of money. And if we have the opportunity, in my head, like Fridays and Saturdays in the middle of summer here, to not piss anybody off, if we fill the town with out-of-town people that aren't from here, with the CVB's money. So, but yeah, we'll be meeting with them, I'm sure, soon. So,
Thanks, Jeff.
thank you.
All right, thank you. Chamber need more time, or? I guess I can move down the list and come back to it.
Oh, Your Honor, I received a notice earlier in the day from Brooke Novak from the Chamber.
Yes?
And she wasn't able to attend this evening. She was hoping she could rally another individual in support of the meeting tonight, but I didn't hear back whether she was successful.
Okay. We'll just keep moving along here. We can always come back to the chamber if someone comes to represent. Next would be the Golden Link.
Good evening. I'm Tammy Parkin. I'm the president of the Board of Directors at the Golden Link. And I'd first like to thank the council for appointing Tim Menard as our liaison. He's a wonderful guy. So just a little bit about the Golden Link and why we are here asking for funding. The Golden Link's Senior Center's mission is to provide a place for adults 55 plus to gather, be inspired, and enjoy life. We have over 20 different groups or programs that utilize our buildings for meetings, including all of the veteran service organizations meet at the Golden Link. Lions Club meets there, Mathians, and many, many more organizations and programs. Tuesday mornings we set aside for educational programming. We have had artist series, we have had programs on scams, funeral planning, healthcare directives, and any other topic you can think of. So Tuesdays are our educational programming day. The Golden Link receives funding from several sources, including the city of Crookston. We write many, many grants. We do a lot of fundraising. We do have an annual dues. We get donations and memorials, and our senior meals program. Our building is getting older and older, and it is continually in need of upgrades. And everybody knows that who is a homeowner or a business owner. And we are always looking for ways to save for these upgrades. Right now, some of the upgrades, we have actually the old fuses for our electrical. We need to upgrade that to breaker systems. And that's a huge cost, so we're trying to fundraise for that. We're trying to replace and add lighting to the outside of our building for the safety of our members and guests, and have replace all the lights inside with LEDs to save some money on our utilities. Of course, with everybody else, the prices of utilities keep on going up, and the cost of living and salaries also always increase. It's hard to get good help at a very small wage. So we're struggling with that. And with winter months coming up, it takes a toll on our budget, of course, with the heating costs and snow removal costs and extra janitorial duties. All of that adds up a little bit more every day that our janitor has to stay an extra 30 minutes to clean the carpets better and stuff like that. We are trying really hard, and we do every week. Well, I shouldn't say every week. Once a month we have a grant committee meeting, and we look at grants. We are constantly looking to get money through grants. Problem we have a lot of times, For the seniors, everything is geared towards the cities, of course, not for up in our area. We do get a lot of small grants for our educational programming, and the staff, the members and guests just love coming in for that. So we are here kind of hoping that the city will continue on funding the Golden Link like they have in the past. You should have gotten our budget and all of that, so I don't want to just throw out numbers of, you know. So does anybody have any questions for us?
I think there was a mention that at some point there was like some legacy dollars. Are you familiar with what that exactly was? That was supposedly like a pass-through with the city that went to the senior center?
That I don't know about.
It was mentioned at our last meeting. Bob Altringer, I believe.
Okay.
Mentioned that the funds were targeted legacy dollars.
Oh, okay, okay,
And
that's,
I had never heard
yeah.
that term, and
Right, right.
I asked several of my
Is that through
colleagues
the Park
here.
and Rec, the legacy dollars from the,
I don't think so. The only thing I know it currently is something that's being done, I think, through the legacy grant rate through the campground, but I don't think that's the same thing. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I was asking around and trying to find out what exactly that was. And if it was maybe like a one-time thing, or if it was something that you guys were more familiar with.
no, that wouldn't have been through the city.
There is a
Just
legacy
Shaver.
fund that does not work through the city, but,
Through the state of Minnesota.
well, that's the park. But there is, Shirley Iverson has knowledge of, and it may be part of that, but it doesn't correlate directly to the city.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. I was just curious.
good question.
Because it was made to sound like this funding actually just came through the city and was supposed to go directly to the senior center, but I don't think anybody that I know of at this point knows what that really was.
Right, right,
And if
yeah.
that was like a
And
one-time
the way
thing.
I
or-
understand it, and please forgive me, this is all new. Bob thought that it was a percentage of these legacy dollars that were targeted for services to the
Seniors.
seniors. That's how I understood it anyway, so.
Well, you understood it more than I did. 'Cause I just thought, okay, it's coming out of that fund. I don't know about it, but
Okay, well, I'll have to talk to Bob. Okay.
any other questions for us? Well, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Scruffy Tails Humane Society. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Did our PowerPoint, do you guys have that? Our PowerPoint, do you guys have that? Good thing I brought a copy. While he gets that loaded, I did have a handout I sent to the members of the city council, but if any else would like a copy of that handout, I do have several copies for the room.
I'd like a copy. I can take a copy.
Awesome. All right, thank you. So I'd like to just start off by thanking the council for all of the nonprofits here, as well as Scruffy Tails and our board, for allowing us to speak to you guys this evening. This is something that is really important to the rescue, and we hope is very important to the city as well. For members of the community that don't know me, my name is Anna. I am a licensed vet tech who also has a specialty in veterinary medicine. And I have been the managing director of Scruffy Tails for the last 2 months, so I'm still fairly new to the community here. Slide, please. And if you can hit it one more time for the photo, please. So for tonight, I would like to talk to you about the planned renovations in our basement. I will talk about the whole project briefly, but I really do intend to focus on the proposed impound area since that is what we are asking the city to fund. And I will also discuss our financial request in a little bit more detail. Slide, please. So this is the draft for the proposed renovations. There's also a copy of that was attached at the end of the packets that I sent you guys. And what this new floor plan will do, in addition to some other things, is allow us changed access points, which really comes down to disease control within the shelter. Anytime you have a large number of animals living in a really tight space, disease control becomes very important. But paying for medications for all the animals is obviously something we want to try to avoid as much as possible. And it'll also improve living conditions with better kennel space, better ventilation, with repairs to our HVAC system, and then other repairs that we need to make to the building as far as ceilings, flooring, those kind of things. Slide, please. Looking at the proposed impound area alone, I'm just realizing on that large projector that didn't show up very well, so sorry about that. So our primary concern with impound is safety to the officers that we work with, staff, and the animals obviously within our care. So one of the big things is that we have a lot of animals coming through this door. Year to date, we've already doubled what we had last year with animals coming through the city. And so we need to add kennel space, and we need to add kennel space that is safe. Currently, we have 2 dog kennels and 3 cat kennels in our impound area. We're looking at adding another 2 additional kennels and a separate cat bank into this new impound area. And along with that comes moving it to a new room. There's not space in our current impound area. So what we're looking at doing is building a wall using 2 existing interior windows that we have on hand so that staff is able to view the animals from the hallway so that we're be able to better monitor them. Forgive me, lost the ability to speak on Monday. And then with the new kennels, they will be the correct dimensions to make us compliant with the Minnesota Board of Health requirements for animal housing. So really what it comes down to is repairing of the floor, which has cracks, ceiling damage, and then the kennels and just the maintenance thereof. Slide, please. So this is an example of the dog kennel we are looking at. Why we're looking at this particular model is due to the fact that we do rabies quarantine for the city. So this has a guillotine door halfway through it, which can be raised so that the animal can move to the back of the kennel. We can drop that door safely clean. Pursuant of the Minnesota Veterinary Association's medical guidelines, we are not to handle rabies quarantine animals with our hands. They need to be held with a rabies pole. We're supposed to have minimal staff contact for 10 days while they're in quarantine with us. So obviously things like cleaning kennels are a big deal. And if you'll hit the slide, we'll talk about cats. So this is just kind of a standard cat kennel bank. For those of you who have seen our current impound area, you know that the current kennels we have right now are very deep. They're very hard to get into without a stepladder, even at my height. And quite frankly, when you have a feral cat in a very deep kennel that is up above that you need to get into with a stepladder, it's just not safe for us. It's not safe for the officers, and the cats are very terrified. Slide, please. So to get into the funding portion of this, last year the city was gracious enough to give us $5,000, and then another $5,000 was raised for funding. We plan to use that into largely the expenses for repairs to the plan space. So that would include the building of the wall, adding of the door, the windows we already have access to, and then ceiling and floor repairs would be a little bit addition to that. And then that added with the cost of the kennels, both for the cats and the dogs, would put us at a total estimated cost from our contractor at right around 30 grand. So we are asking for 20 grand this year from the city in order to be able to fund this impound area entirely. I mentioned briefly that our numbers have more than doubled since last year, 2022. We had 54 animals come in through the city of Crookston. This year, as of the 19th, I reran our numbers from the original email I sent you guys just to kind of get an update because we had a lot come in as far as cats. We're up to 61 dogs and 58 cats that we've taken in from just the city.
That first number you gave us, of 54, was that just cats or dogs or both?
That was both.
Okay.
For 2022. So that number has gone up pretty drastically. Slide, please. So I did include our contractor's full bid, just in case anyone from the city was interested. I've been doing a lot of grants work since coming on board, both with federal organizations, local state organizations, trying to get this remodel funded. You guys have seen our budget. We're a little bit behind where we were expecting to be for donations this year, so I am trying to get this project funded almost entirely on grant money if I'm able to. And really where this comes down to is a lot of it's structural. We need to replace some things with the ceiling. There's HVAC problems. And then in addition to that, we do have several cracks in the concrete, so we need to tear up existing tile, repair those cracks. We're looking at doing epoxy floors. Those have an estimated life of 25 or above years with animal housing. So we're trying to do this in a way that we don't need to require funding for large projects in the future, or at least not for a long time. Any
have
questions or?
2 minutes remaining, so if you want to.
Yes, sir.
What's the upper level being used for? I know before they had it as a donation thing for clothing and different items. Is that still being used?
No, sir. So the upstairs, we were able to remodel that last year before I came on board. So right now that has all of our healthy cat housing. So we've got our cats up there. We have cat playrooms to meet our enrichment requirements. And then we also have a dog visitation room up there for people who are coming in to visit dogs who don't necessarily want to take them on walks and they just want to hang out with the animal. And this is something that was recommended to us from the Board of Health, was to separate the cats and the dogs just for stress levels on the cats. So we do have some cats downstairs, both in the impound area and then in quarantine in our current existing vet room for some health issues.
Okay, thank you.
So when you're looking at the renovation of the impound, I couldn't quite see the diagram, but it looked like you were separating the dogs from the cats, so they won't be in the same impound area?
No, they, thank you. So they will technically still be in the same impound area. We're going to use different things that are common in veterinary clinics in order to kind of block the cat view, but
Okay.
we are still going to keep impound all in one space just for
okay.
ease of use. So if you're familiar with Scruffy Tails, so if this is where you pull into the parking lot. These are the double doors here. So basically the officers will come in this door. We'll have our impound log out here for them and they'll be able to walk in here and put dogs in, cats in. If they need to come upstairs, access to staff or anything, they're able to just hop right out into the hallway and do so.
Thank you.
Of course.
And didn't you say too, the space for where the vet would work needs some help?
Yes, our building needs a lot of help. My request for the city right now is just for the impound. If the city would like to be overly generous and help us with the rest of it, I will not say no. I might giggle and like send you guys flowers, but it's, our building
those
does
are
need a lot
priority.
of help, and I'm working on grants to try to fund that right now.
Okay.
And your 10 minutes is up. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Okay, Tri-Valley Opportunity Council.
It looks nice. It's starting to look nice.
Your Honor, I will check. I don't believe that I have one.
Okay.
Good evening, Cynthia. Can you hear us? Good evening, Cynthia. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, you may begin your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Tri-Valley is requesting funding from the city of Crookston. And the reason why is because usually we get funding from the Minnesota State Department of Transportation for 5 buses. Currently, we are running 7 buses in Crookston. The numbers are high. Usually it has to be 5 rides per hour for us to operate a bus. Right now, we're running about 8 rides per hour on a majority of our buses. We have added an additional service for Saturdays. We're running about 8 to 9 rides per hour on Saturdays. So we have 2 buses running on Saturdays. So there's an additional 2 buses Monday through Friday, and we have put an extra bus on Saturday because we're so busy. So that's what the funding request is for, is to help us pay for those 3 extra buses that we operate in the city of Crookston. Any questions? It costs about $74,000 per year to run a full-time bus Monday through Friday. We did extend our hours working with UMC. We do have Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, please continue.
Sorry. I did say that on Saturdays, we're running an additional bus because we have so many pickups and drop-offs in the city of Crookston. So we're running 2 buses on Saturdays, about 8 to 9 rides per hour. Sundays, we offer 1 bus. And then we did extend our hours on Monday through Friday until 8:30 p.m. And that's working in collaboration with UMC, so the students can go to a movie theater, they can get a ride back, usually by the time the movie is over. But we're comparatively to Thief River Falls would be the comparison. We operate 5 buses in Thief River, as compared to the 7 that we're operating full-time in Crookston. It costs about $74,000 to run a full-time bus Monday through Friday. We get some funding from MnDOT, but not all of the funding. We have to cover 15%. It was 80-20, now it's 85-15. So the the money that we're requesting from the city council is to help us fund the local share of those routes that we offer.
Cynthia, can I ask, is the additional 2 buses that you guys are running in Crookston, is it just in Crookston, you're servicing Crookston, or are you servicing like the surrounding area as well?
We go a mile out of town, but it's basically in the city of Crookston. We're limited when we have a city route that we can't go beyond that mile extra limit. The only thing that changes is during the summer fun bus program that we do for the school age kids, we can go up to 2 miles out of town. But it is basically for the city of Crookston. Our ridership is phenomenal. With the college students, with the usage that our buses get, we're very happy with that service. It's interesting when I talk to the district program manager at MnDOT, the one who supervises our contracts, we're actually doing more service than some of the bigger cities in the state of Minnesota. It's impressive. Some of the larger cities, such as Mankato, St. Cloud, they don't operate public transit service beyond 4:30 p.m. And our question is, how the heck do people get back from work? What happens if a family has a partnership or 2 spouses that they only have 1 car? How are they gonna get back and forth for their employment? And I will say that MnDOT has been very supportive of us. Although we get our reports turned in on time, we're very flexible. When they want a report, an additional report turned in, we turn it in as soon as we possibly can. We try to be as flexible as possible, but we also want them to understand that just because we're located in Northwest Minnesota doesn't mean that there's a need. There's a huge need for public transit. I know right now our federal government is talking about possibly shutting down for a period of time if they can't get the budget figured out. We are a service that has to operate. It doesn't matter if the state shuts down, if the federal government shuts down, we have to continue to be open so that we can make those services available for those that depend on us.
Cynthia, do you guys have a breakdown of like how many people are utilizing the buses to like get to work? Or is there like a breakdown of what the usage looks like?
Well, the buses that we have that are full-time per day, we do about 100 rides per day. Do we break down how many are students, how many are adults? The highest percentage is, of course, adults. I can't tell you exactly how many of them go to work. I'm not sitting at my desk right now, so I can give you that report. But we do keep track of who's going to work and who's not. I just don't have those numbers available right now. I could give those to you tomorrow or another day when somebody's in the office and can pull those.
Thank you.
But we're very proud of the service that we provide in Tri-Valley, and you probably see our buses scrambling all over town. I know that when the housing program extended in Crookston, we made sure that we were available to pick up those individuals that are living in the new housing facility at the north end of town. And we want to make sure that public transit is available to everyone. You know, every one of our vehicles has to be handicap accessible. Anybody, whether they have a bad hip or knee or can't use the stairs, they can use the lift. They don't have to be in a wheelchair to use the lift. It doesn't matter if they have a cane, they have a walker. We also use the lift to transport young families. We have contracts with our Head Start program, so we do transport families to the Head Start program. If they come with a stroller, the stroller is lifted with the lift, so it isn't anything manual for the drivers. But all of our buses have to be ADA accessible.
There is 2 minutes remaining. Did you want to wrap up? Or does anybody else have any questions?
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate the fact that you guys let us call on Zoom. I've had a broken ankle for 3 months. So my opportunity for work has been working from home. So I really do appreciate the opportunity to let us present via Zoom. If you do want more employment numbers, I certainly can get them for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. You guys have a good evening.
Thank you, Cynthia. Good night.
Yep.
Okay, we heard nothing from Crookston Area Chamber, correct?
Yeah, they're, as they have their staff change, there's, they have no chamber person.
Right.
So I know I've talked at length with a couple of the board members and they're working very hard to scramble to figure out what they're doing, but they don't have a presentation ready.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on. This brings us to the agenda. Does anyone wish to add anything to tonight's agenda? We have a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
I'll make that motion, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
Clayton and Don, thank you. Discussion, hearing none, roll call, please.
Kressel?
Aye.
Klatt?
Aye.
Menard?
Aye.
Jurdy?
Aye.
Fisher?
Aye.
Briggs?
Aye.
Cavalier?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Brings us to the consent agenda. Does anyone wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? I have a motion to approve tonight's
So
consent.
moved, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tim and Joe, thank you. Roll call, please.
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. No public hearings, regular agenda. Ashley, please.
Yes, Your Honor. Item 8.01 is a resolution regarding the cash farm agreement with the Regents of the University of Minnesota.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Don. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tim. Discussion, Corky, please.
Yes, this is a lease renewal agreement with the University of Minnesota. They farm land just south of the airport. We've been in that lease for a number of years. In fact, it went back to 2006. It hadn't been changed. I discussed this with representatives of the university. They are agreeable to the increase to $150 per acre for a 2-year lease.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Menard, Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.02 is a resolution regarding amending the 2024-2025 Housing Incentive Program.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I make that motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. Clayton,
Second.
second by
Second.
Don. Discussion?
Yes, what we passed last time as a housing incentive program was brought to our attention about the ability to use the abatement as a down payment. The lenders, both financial institutions and title closers, said this creates somewhat of an issue for them. All that would be changed is it would not be a cash payment to the borrower, but they would have the tax abatement on their property for 2 years.
So the other two, government is on board with this, the school and
Oh, yes,
And
yes.
county?
They have, are still working on passing it through, but they would be on board, yes.
okay, thank you.
Can I ask, because like, the only thing that was supposedly changed from the last time we did this to this time was that the water credit had to be gotten in the first 6 months.
Yes.
So is there an issue? Was that the issue?
No, the issue was in the resolution that you passed, they could take a cash payment as a down payment, the 2-year abatement. The lenders and the title closer said this creates an issue for them specifically. They didn't take away the credit. It just was, there was no check that went directly to the borrower from the city. They get the abatement on their taxes. It's just not a check to them to be used as a down payment for the borrower.
Okay, so, because when I asked last time, I asked, is this any different than what we've like passed in the past, right?
Yes.
And so that cash, the water credit, I'm trying to understand this because when I asked you, is there any difference between what we've passed in the past and we passed last week or last council meeting? You said the only thing that was different was this water credit. So there's something else that was different?
No, the lenders and the title companies, it's the same thing that we passed, but they raised that issue now. They've experienced that with
In the
other
past?
entities. No, they experienced that with other cities or other places that gave an abatement, that gave a check instead of a tax abatement. And that creates an issue for those lenders and title companies. The language was the same, they just hadn't experienced it here in Crookston, but they wanted to avoid those problems and asked us to take out the fact that you could then use your abatement as a check to the borrower.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Kressel,
Aye.
Platt,
Aye.
Menard,
Aye.
Jurdy,
Aye.
Fisher,
Aye.
Briggs,
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.03 is a resolution calling for a public hearing regarding the 120th North Main Street building.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Henry. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Don. Discussion.
What this is, as you all may know, we have a fire inspection at various rental units. Sent out notice to this particular unit, I believe 5 or 6 times, and they have not responded. So in order to enforce the ordinance, we have to have a public hearing where they can come and indicate why they didn't respond to the numerous fire inspection notices.
Thank you. Further discussion.
Is there
Well-
some, no?
Tanner, thank you.
Quickly add something on this, just to keep everyone up to date. Chief and I have been working on this. I would note that they've missed 6 inspections. The chief has detailed what needs to be done at this property and has informed them multiple times about that. I've also sent certified letters to these individuals indicating what needs to be done. At this point, given the lack of response, we're asking that it be set on for a public hearing where you guys act as the judges and determine what the appropriate sanction is. It could be anything from a revocation of their license, so they wouldn't be able to operate their rental property anymore, or anything else that the council deems appropriate. I would note that they have another upcoming inspection scheduled for October 30th. If this disappears from the agenda on November 13th, it's because they allowed the chief in and the chief determined that they had complied with the order. So if you don't see it on November 13th, that's why. It's good news. It means that the issue's been fixed to the chief's satisfaction and we didn't need to address it. But in case they miss that appointment or in case something isn't up to the code that we want, we are moving forward at this time.
Is there not clearly defined guidelines as to what happens if they don't?
Well, you have a public hearing and
Well, understand that. What I'm asking is there a set, like, this is what happened if you don't do it? It seems kind of arbitrary to just let us decide on what something like this would be. It would seem like it would be a better fit to have like clearly defined, like, if this doesn't happen, then there's a fine or, the license for renting is taken away or something. Do we not have something that's clearly defined there?
It's not clearly set, but I guess from my point of view, given how many times we've had inspections missed and how long this has been going on, if they don't comply on October 30th, I'm going to request that the license be revoked, just given that we have no idea what it looks like in there.
Sure.
And it's been going on for about a year, I think.
But to answer your question, there is no specific defined penalty or sanction.
Was there a date, a
So,
deadline
for
for
a
this?
matter
Was there
of
a deadline
consist-
for this, for November 13th then, or?
So they have an upcoming inspection scheduled for October 30th, and hopefully they make that appointment, but assuming that they don't, then we have our public hearing on November 13th. They will be provided notice of that hearing and hopefully be present so they can present, maybe there's some reason that they're not able to do the inspection. And that's something that you would have to consider, whether that be
Is the facility down below the apartment still active?
that I don't know.
I believe it is.
So they're still holding dance classes in that space? Okay.
So for a matter of consistency, is it appropriate for us to set, so the next time this happens, we're doing the same thing?
We could do that with an ordinance change.
The only thing though is the reason that we're having a public hearing is so you can hear their side. Maybe
Right.
they convince you all that
All right, but I mean,
revocation's not appropriate.
regardless of what they say, I mean, if we decide after we hear their plea, they should have us say, okay, if this doesn't happen by then your license will be suspended or revoked.
Yeah.
That's a possible sanction, certainly.
Well, I think it's just, I think this also provides the chief a little bit more agency and like, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then these are the, you know, the possible sanctions versus us arbitrarily deciding, like, one person gets this, another person gets that, and I think maybe it provides a little bit more consistency and fairness across the board, understanding that we will hear, you know, what their particular situation is.
In order to have a license for a rental property, is there a stipulation that the units undergo annual or semi-annual inspections?
There's a description on there that.
There's, okay.
Yeah, it has that in there for the inspections.
Okay.
That the department conducts.
And to be frank, the main remedy we do have here is actually to revoke the license. There are other remedies we could stay it, like I think Delane was indicating, where we say you have 60 days to comply with the chief's orders. In the notice that I sent, I referenced the ordinance that says we can revoke the license, saying that's what I would be requesting the council to do if they didn't respond. But I see what you're saying, you know, you want consistency across the board, and I think that's certainly fair. I don't know, just given the purpose of what the hearing is for, it's like you're a judge. It's hard to make a decision before knowing what their side of the story is, before their argument.
Tanner, do we know that those units are rented out, or are they empty? Do we know?
I don't know the answer to that. They have a rental license though, so that's what, maybe that's gonna be their explanation. Maybe they don't care if we revoke that license.
Is there a health and safety issue with the building?
Yeah, that's generally what the chief indicated in his inspection report. There was a number of issues that weren't up to code, so that was the issue. There was, I don't know, like 12 or something like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Kressel.
Aye.
Klatt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Item 8.04 is a resolution regarding the Crookston Municipal Airport revised layout plan.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this
I'll make
resolution?
that motion, Your Honor.
I'll second.
I think I heard Tim first and Don second.
I did it differently, but
Well, I was looking at Tim and he was,
Chomping at the bit.
yes.
Gotta get him pretty quick to beat Tim.
Yeah, he's right on that.
Sorry, Ashley.
no, you're good.
All right, discussion, please.
What this is, as you all may recall, we've been working on the airport, changing runways, putting in an AWAS system. Well, this is the plan that has finally been adopted or proposed to be adopted by you all. This plan came before the Airport Commission last week. They reviewed it with the engineers, and this is what they would recommend. The Airport Commission did in fact make a recommendation that this be approved.
Further discussion? Hearing none, can I roll call, please?
Kressel.
Aye.
Klatt.
Aye.
Menard.
Aye.
Jurdy.
Aye.
Fisher.
Aye.
Briggs.
Aye.
Cavalier.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Ashley. Reports, Corky, please.
Yes, a number of things to report. As usual, very, very busy 2 weeks. I met with Dana Johnson from Polk County Victim Services, who was advocating for a program to be presented here in Crookston. That's also being taken up by the school board, and we'll have more information later. Had a phone call with Jake and Renee Matson, who's in charge of the Legacy Grant for the park, and she made some suggestions about possible sources for building the campground bathhouse. And Jake has followed up with those people, and he's requested proposals for them, and it looks promising that we can get the bathhouse constructed within budgetary guidelines. We had bid openings for the CIP relating to streets. We will be acting on those in the next week. Met with department heads, as you can all see from the information in the packets regarding budget updates. Also, we met with Matt Upgren, Rich Clausen, and Chuck Public Works Director, met with Matt Upgren regarding MnDOT, and he has brought forth potential proposals for MnDOT work from the intersection of Groveland north on the highway to the turn at the university. We met with Tanner on these various topics, one of which you heard tonight, but also the liquor ordinance, which has been forwarded to interested brewers, and we're waiting for their response for a meeting to discuss it further. Also had phone call with Ben Lean, or phone calls, to find out a date for him to come to Crookston. He is Senator Amy Klobuchar's representative in Northwest Minnesota, and he would like to obtain information from about 6 to 8 people in this area about what the senator could do for us. Also met with Randy Bergquist and Nate Labarsky regarding some interactions at the high school and our continued support for the SRO. I attended the Airport Commission meeting and attended an Insurance Commission meeting, and also attended a CHEETA meeting. Also, you have asked, a number of you, about the city administrator search. I can tell you that either I or Tina contacted 8 individual firms, asking them to submit proposals for 1, what it would cost to do a search, 2, what timelines they would offer regarding those. 2 of the firms indicated that they are filled to capacity and cannot respond or would not respond to those requests. 1 of the firm indicated they no longer do searches, so we are down to 5. 2 of them indicated they would be, or 3 would be indicating they would be responding with proposals by the 27th of October. And 2 of them we left email or voice messages or email messages, and just have not received any response as of yet. So we're looking forward to this Friday for responses from the firms that were interested. The firms that said they would submit proposals said they were very interested, and they have done searches either in Crookston itself or in the surrounding area, and they will be back to us hopefully by Friday the 27th of this month.
Thank you, Corky. Since I kind of forgot about Chad last time, I better start with him tonight.
Thank you, Your Honor. A couple of quick updates. Zach and I assisted Axon, a vendor who came to install their new Fleet 3 mobile camera system in all 5 of the police department squad cars. So a major upgrade accomplished there. We tomorrow will be completing the conversion of the networking systems at Valley Technology Park, which, with the exception of the airport, which we are budgeted for in 2023 to do some network equipment upgrades, completes all city facilities to our new network. So we're very excited to complete that leg of the journey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Chuck, tonight, please.
Good evening. My update for the team. They're still prepping for winter. The street sweepers are out. Manholes and water shutoffs are done and prepped, so there's no damage to our machinery. It is yard waste and branch collection week. They're out taking care of that. They estimated they should be done by early Thursday with that project. An update from our cleanup week. We have demo, 64.55 tons. Garbage, there was 31.2 tons. I do not have the numbers for appliances or tires right now. Also last week, our crew attended training sessions in Grand Forks, winter maintenance operator training. It gave us insight to latest technology, best practices and industry standards, which I hope to bring to the city of Crookston. That's everything I got.
Thank you.
Yep.
Brandon?
I've finally got our railroad permit to repair the Buddy North Star Lime sewer service. So they've had a collapse service most of summer, and getting a permit from the railroad is a nightmare. So I finally got that. We're gonna start that project tomorrow. It's probably a 2 to 3 day project. Our grinder for the jail is supposed to be here the end of the week. Weather permitting, I'll install that pit the following week, and then it's gonna kind of depend on whether or not Otter Tail can get our new service line into that, whether it's running this fall or not. We might have to wait till spring for a service to be installed, but Doug was hopeful that Otter Tail would get the service in here in the next couple weeks. And the rake for the Station 4 is supposed to be delivered the first week in November. So weather permitting, we're gonna try and get that installed. And then that'll probably be the last digging projects for the fall, as long as we don't have any emergencies. So coming, wrapping up the year, but that's what I got for this week.
Thanks, Brandon. Audrey, anything?
We had requested proposals for accounting services. We have received 4 proposals. After Corky and I had reviewed those proposals, we thought that those should be presented at a Ways and Means on November 6th, after our audit presentation, for guidance and, I guess, a vote on November 13th. That's all that I have right now.
Is this the support for the reconciling?
For reconciling, month-end, year-end audit, 23 preparation. There's a lot there that we need assistance with.
Okay, so it'd be all the services you initially had requested?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Audrey. Shane?
You already got a little snippet there of some of the stuff that's going on at the station, but open house that we held went very well. This year we pushed it later in October, hoping that maybe sugar beet harvest would be done and we would get a lot of the firefighters that volunteer and help other farmers to maybe come down. Mother Nature doesn't work, harvest doesn't work, and we were pretty short-handed. So one of the things that's been discussed is we're probably gonna change the date of the open house coming into next year, just to try to get some more interaction with the fire department itself. And then we're gonna be talking with the firefighters and then probably some of the educators and seeing maybe what an opportune time is, whether it's the end of a school year, beginning of a school year. We're gonna try and capitalize on something like that. So it won't probably coordinate with Fire Prevention Month or Fire Prevention Week anymore, but we're just gonna try and get that changed up a little bit. So we're planning on having our new firefighter come in November, and he's gonna do a week's worth of training there, and I'll be talking with Jordan, just getting that set up and making sure we got everything lined up for that. Held some budget discussions with Corky and Audrey, and have been attending a couple of webinars having to do with some grant funding that's out there, and just trying to get a jump on that and seeing what we can do for the next fiscal year. Besides that, cold weather transitions. Just weather's coming, so we've got gear to get moved and get other stuff prepped. So that's about all.
Good job on the open house. There's quite a few people there.
It was
and
very busy. Thank
had
you.
a lot of really positive
Thank you.
feedback, so good job.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
good job on that. My boys love that obstacle course you had.
Yes, yes, that was a
Well,
hit.
We're gonna make sure that the door is a little bit more sturdy next year. We did have.
Well, they about wore you out, I heard.
We had some kids that wanted to take it down, so they worked out very well, but we've got plans to get that repaired. It'll last.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Darren?
Yeah, thank you, really quick here. I'll just piggyback on what Chad said. Yeah, we had our new in-car camera system installed last Tuesday. Install went great. We've already trained all of our officers. It was a similar records management system that we were using before, so training was really easy, pretty minimal. Very well received, good system. Now we're working on the second phase of that, of the data management or storage of our current data from the prior system. What do we do with that? Where do we put it for temporary until we don't need that data anymore? And then just a reminder, I brought this up last council meeting, but we're having our 36th annual Halloween event next Tuesday, October 31st. As we've done in the last couple years, we'll be doing our food drive-through at the Crookston High School in partnership with the Crookston Leo Club. Same venue, we had to change parking lots. There was an oversight on some scheduling with a volleyball game, unfortunately. So we'll be on the east parking lot, not the west parking lot. Still doing advertising, sending flyers home with the school kids this week, so we'll note that change. Otherwise, yeah, we'll be there October 31st from 5 to 7 in the east parking lot. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Corky, you had an update on Jake?
Yes, I got telephone confirmation that a number of our department heads would not be here. Carrie and Greg are absent for personal matters. Jake and Rich are at the first night of hockey at the arena, but Jake did give me a report, and he said, the park staff has been finishing up with mowing. We should be done soon. We have finished blowing out lines on all the places that need that type of service. We're working on putting our summer equipment away and getting ready for winter. The second sheet of ice is in at the CSC, and the third sheet will be put in starting in about a week. Recreation, fall programming is done. Hockey starts tonight, and that's where he is. We will have 2 mite teams, 10 U girls, 12 U girls, and then Squirt A and Squirt B, and a bantam teams for this season. 35 new learners to participate and play in hockey, and 37 mini mite participants. Figure skating starts November 6th. And then he will have more on updates on that at the next council meeting. At the pool, they installed new solar lighting outside the front door this week, and will be installing the POS, point of service system, just waiting on Valley Electric to run the cables. And this week, Garden Valley will be coming to look at installing potentially 5 cameras at the swimming pool, and those have been requested by not only staff, but participants. They will run off the system we currently have in place at the CSC and police station if that is accomplished. So there'll be a good coordination with that. And then he says, have a great evening. So.
All right, thanks, Corky. Christie?
I went to the open house. It was great. I went to a women's leadership event in Grand Forks that was focused on building rural community. That was really good. Lots of great information there. The CVB canceled their monthly meeting, so obviously I didn't attend. And that's pretty much all I have.
Thank you. Henry?
No, I double checked.
Nothing from me.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to thank the city crew for cleanup week. They did another great job, and we really appreciate it. So.
Thanks, Clayton. Don?
First of all, I want to thank these Gruffy Tails for taking our cats, and when you give them away or sell them, right? And then I have a little announcement here for the Ward 4 and for downtown, and it says here, dear landlords and homeowners and business owner, the Crookston Economic Development Department is applying for funds to assist property owners in financing and improvement of their homes, rental properties, or business. We are gathering non-binding letters of intent to engage the interest level within the community. There will be a Ward 4 meeting coming up to better discuss the grants. And if you might be interested in participating in any proposed programs, please complete the application forms. And we just delivered 407 Ward 4 housing letters to all of the Ward 4, and also 77 letters to the city downtown for upgrading their water storefronts and so forth. And Carrie Kurzbaum, the City of Crookston is the Community Development Director and Crookston Housing Economic and Development Authority. And also Kayla Hansen is a part of that. She's an assistant to the Economic Development and Housing Authority. So this is really important. The more signatures we get when we apply for these grants, the better off, I mean, the more chance we will have to get these grants. So if anybody's interested in improving their houses, their businesses downtown, we encourage you to send those letters back to us. And they've been coming in pretty rapidly now, because we started getting these letters out about 5 days ago, and it took a long time to, I had good walking, and I get in good shape, or better shape, walking all that distance, but it was worth it. And talked to a lot of houses and housing people that own houses, renters, homeowners, and the business owners. There's a lot of people that are fired up about this, so it's an opportunity to improve Crookston. So please get the word out to your friends if they want to get a grant. Thank you.
Hey, Don, I just want to give you props for like the hard work you've been doing, and I've heard a lot of really good feedback about just you getting out there into Ward 4 and really spreading the word on this, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Don, is this just for Ward 4 or citywide or what?
This is for Ward 4 to start with, and downtown.
Okay.
Okay? Yep. And it'll expand later on, but this is where the focus is, because we have about 17 homes down in Ward 4 that need development and need work seriously. And the downtown wants storefronts and also buildings improvement for downtown. So that's where we're looking to start with, and it'll expand out to other wards too, so.
Okay, thank you, Don.
Any other questions? It's kind of fun actually visiting about all these things with people and listening to them to talk about what they want to do to their homes and so forth. So it's an opportunity for Crookston, right, Corky?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Joe?
No report, Your Honor.
Thank you. Delane?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Thank you. Tim?
I did attend the Airport Commission meeting, at which we discussed the work that's being done. Also, I had the opportunity to visit our airport. The last time I was at the airport was when I rode my bicycle out to see the airport in about 1968. So it's been a few years. But Lowell gave me a tour of our facilities out there, and it really, it looked a lot different from the last time I saw it. So props to Lowell for all the good work he's doing out there.
All right, thanks, Tim. I would just like to thank everybody that came tonight to do presentations.
Yeah, that's good.
Corky, is there a cheetah tomorrow?
There is. As far as I know, there's still an economic development meeting scheduled for tomorrow.
7 a.m. Just a reminder too, trick-or-treating next week. The weather will dictate how many little kids are out there, but if you're out driving around, it's dark early, so just kind of pay attention on that Tuesday. Just a reminder, we have a Ways and Means Committee meeting following shortly. Thank you, everybody that came tonight. Nothing else to come before council. We are adjourned. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, we'll call the Ways and Means Committee meeting to order. It's for Monday, October 23rd, 2023. We got 2 items on the agenda, the nonprofit organization grant discussion and the 2024 proposed adjustment budget. So, go ahead.
Okay, so the first item is the nonprofit discussion. What I would like to do is just to remind you of the criteria for public money expenditures, and then also give you an idea what you've seen, but the difference between what is being requested and the difference that we actually have budgeted into this year's budget. Okay. For public purpose expenditures, the activity must benefit the community as a body, as a whole. It relates to functions of government. The activity does not have as its primary objective the benefit of a private interest, and an incidental benefit to a private interest does not deprive the spending activity of its public nature. So, also, just so you know, and you've seen it in your packet, the total requested is $271,000. Audrey and I have put together within our budget the sum of $127,000. That's essentially what was given last year, but we didn't have a number till we, so the difference is $144,000. If you recall, each 1% of the levy is equal to $29,000. So this, if all of these requests were granted, it would be approximately a 5% increase to the levy.
To the levy as it is reflected in the adjusted budget?
No.
No.
No, we have
So,
not
okay.
adjusted it, other than you got, and we'll talk about that
Yeah.
later, but that's a list of items that have been discussed with various departments and that kind of thing. So, that's all I have to say.
1% equals what again?
Well, 29,000. 29,800. I just rounded it for ease to 30,000.
Yeah.
So, have,
Well, I think, you know, with the Crookston Aquatic Boosters Ox Cart, we've done $6,000 in the past,
I mean,
as long as.
I like what we did in the past, and I specifically remember our donation was to specifically go to fireworks. And I wanted to make sure, if it wasn't last year, it should have been, because that's what I voted on.
Yep.
And if it, and that's what I wanted to go towards this year.
Well, it seems like we've done it all. I don't know where the mix-up came, because, I mean, over the past, I don't know how many years we've been giving them $6,000.
I just don't want,
Right,
I just
right.
don't want the fireworks to get canceled.
Exactly.
And
Right.
we donated $6,000 because of whatever reason.
Well, I also like to know what exactly it's being used for, right? And I don't want it to be controversial and they like cancel the fireworks and then like they decide to put it towards something that maybe not everybody likes or is
Right.
really focused on one
Well, that-
particular group of individuals.
That
or-
goes to another point. I wish we had some kind of a form for people to fill out, specifically stating by bullet point of what the dollars, their dollars would be going to. And then, I mean, not this year anymore, obviously it's too late, but in the future, I think we need to have that, so if they're, you know, like, I mean, it could be general, it can say, you know, if it's Tri-Valley gasoline or whatever the case may be, but I think we should have, as taxpayers, we should have some say of where that money's gonna go.
I don't think it'll be an issue to say, okay, here's 6,000 ox cart and it's allocated to fireworks, period.
Yeah, they seem to be okay with
Well,
that.
I just
Yeah.
know that over the years, everybody seems to, that I've talked to, seems to think that's what the city's doing.
Right,
For fireworks.
exactly.
I mean, it may not have been said last year, but I think everybody in the city is assuming that because that's what happened for years and years. And
Yeah, that was the understanding I think a lot of us were under
Yeah.
with
We'll
that.
put it specifically in, that this is, if you award for fireworks.
Yes. I mean, I want it-
Consensus?
Yes.
I will vote for specifically for fireworks.
This is
Consensus?
just a discussion now,
Right.
as you know, but if there would be a consensus, I have written it down specifically for fireworks.
Yeah.
I just personally feel, I think a lot of them are very great things that they're asking for the most part. But until our levy gets a little closer and see what that percentage is, I don't know if we can really make too many decisions.
I mean, for
I mean,
me,
you're one that feels so strong about the levy and how the levy works.
Yeah.
And everything here is good, you know. Maybe there's a few questions I would have on a few of them, but a lot of them are very specific.
right,
So I'm wondering, would it be more prudent to have the discussion about these grant requests after we've reviewed the adjusted budget?
And not just even this evening, but there's no deadline on these requests.
Right.
So
Right.
let's just hypothetically go down the road, we have meetings, you all pass a levy adjustments, and then we go back to these proposals.
Keep it in the back burner
Well,
until we figure it out.
again, and then where does this end? I mean, it seems like last year was 170, what, 100
Last year it was 127,000.
121, now this year it's 271, next year it's gonna be 500 and whatever. I mean, should we put a cap on what we can give and say, you know, we're gonna have to stay within these guidelines and then maybe adjust the cap as years go on?
I think you can do it in one of two ways. One is reviewing the public purpose expenditures. It's arguable that one or more of the present proposals don't meet that criteria. And we could screen them out that way on a recommendation from finance or city administrator, whoever. Or two, as you suggest, you put a cap on it and say, we include it in our preliminary budget discussions as a line item or within the administrations where you actually put in a number. Again, this is fairly new, I think it's 3 years, but you put in a number and that could be adjusted down or up.
Right.
Well, the number was 125, right?
I
That's
had
what-
127, but sure.
Oh, that's what it says on here,
Okay.
So,
on what you gave us.
So I'm assuming that, you know, some of these are one-time requests. I mean, they're not gonna need to replace elevators every year at Benedictine Living Community, for example.
Yeah.
You know?
I also wonder I struggle with that one
I do too.
because I don't know if that is a
It's a
citywide usage
Private.
where, you know,
That's what I was thinking too.
all the rest of them are, you
Well,
know?
I mean, I got the same thing with Tri-Valley.
Well, Tri-Valley, I mean.
Tri-Valley is
Okay, let me finish.
transportation.
Let me finish.
Okay. Yeah.
I think they do a very good job, and I think it's very much needed by the city of Crookston. But the thing is, with them, is people in the city, now if this goes on to a levy, are also paying that on their taxes, plus they pay for a ride. They're a making money entity. So do we give them, I mean, does that sound correct, the way I'm saying it, Corky, or is it?
They do
could it be-
charge
They're
for it,
nonprofit,
but
aren't they?
I don't think they make.
I think it's
They're
subsidized,
nonprofit.
isn't it?
Yes, they have a number of federal grants, it's subsidized.
Yeah,
They don't make profit.
yeah.
On
It's a non-for-profit,
this.
right?
Yes.
I think for me, and like, and that's why I was curious about like how many people are actually utilizing to go to work, because if like if our 3 pillars really are talking about housing, jobs, and childcare, I feel like this is probably a necessary need for our city to have the ability to get to those places, right?
Yeah, I think the Tri-Valley, the buses are very, very important to this community. I mean, as I go around, I was sitting out at the clinic the other day, and, you know, I see people utilizing these buses. I mean, we don't have a cab system. We don't have anything
Yeah.
else like
We
that.
have no other public transportation.
Right. So I mean, I think think it's money well spent for us as a city to support this, but
And there's an obvious need, right? Since they've
is,
had an
absolutely.
uptick in the utilization. But I do, you know, having said, like, we don't have Uber, we don't have Lyft, we don't have any of those things. So even if they wanted on their own agency to pay for those things to get around our town, that's just not a reality, right?
Well,
it's
like what you're saying, you know, if you would know that whole deal with them, so to speak, of how many are used for going to their jobs? Would they need to stay open later to accommodate a larger form if we get some more, bigger businesses in the town? What are their schedules?
Right.
You know, is that what?
I definitely think that's a conversation we can have, and I also am
Absolutely.
wondering if that is the case and we start to get these larger entities into town, is like, can they help subsidize those things, right?
Exactly.
Because if you're trying to get, you know, say American Crystal, like being a larger employer, if they really, like, if that is one of their barriers, then absolutely, let's see what they can do to help support that. But I think that's a conversation we can be having as we get to that point.
UMC, I believe, subsidizes
They,
out
and
there.
they, yeah,
do a
they
great
pay
job.
for a certain
Yeah.
amount too. But I think that, you know, public transportation is such an important thing, especially in rural areas like this, and especially with elderly populations, that I feel that they're providing a real,
And
they're
low-
meeting a
and
need
low
that we
income,
have.
You know, low income, they're trying to
Right.
boost themselves.
Right.
I mean, they don't have a car. Middle of winter is 30 below,
Mm.
and they work a night shift. Now what do they do?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But yeah, and so the fact that like they're providing more service and we're seeing an uptick in need and they're actually providing later hours, I think those are two really important things. And obviously there's the need for it. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing either of those two things, right?
So,
I can gather the information. I believe their representative tonight said she had
Yep.
the figures. I will contact her tomorrow to gather that information.
That would be good to know.
I just,
That
yeah.
might be helpful when we come into trying to bring businesses to our district. Bigger businesses, they would say, well, what do you have for transportation? What do you have? What can we work on? Can we be part of that? Can we not? That might help somebody come to town.
Right, and so I think that like if we at least have that information now, I don't have a problem with us, you know, providing the support that they need, because I think it's a good for the greater good, right? But what I also want to know is if this is being utilized by a lot of employers, is there some opportunity for them to reach out to them in the future for that type of funding as well?
Right.
So that's kind of what I was curious about.
so consensus is on Tri-Valley,
yeah,
I'm good with that.
everybody for it?
And Oxcart as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it is specifically for fireworks.
It will be specifically for fireworks.
Okay,
And if they don't use it for fireworks, we're not gonna give it to them.
That's right.
Go back to
You're
that.
kind of a firecracker. Really.
we had a kind of a brief discussion, let's go back to the Benedictine living community.
Again, the criteria you have to measure, does it benefit the community as a body? Does it relate to a function of government? Does it, the activity does not have as its primary objective the benefit of a private interest? And if there's an incidental benefit to a private interest, does not per se deprive the spending activity of its public nature if the primary purpose is public.
So the only thing that has me hung up a little bit, I agree with everything. I don't think they meet most of those criteria that you just mentioned. The one thing that I do think about is how many Crookston taxpayers are there that, you know, are maybe looking for us for a little help in a situation like this. So I mean, a person could be sitting in there and say, you know what, I sat here and I paid taxes my whole life sitting in Crookston, and now when we need a little help, the city has abandoned us. So that's the only one thing that I struggle with on this one.
And you might want to look at their balance sheets
Yeah.
more closely.
Well, and that's what I was kind of looking at too, is like they have a, you know, a revenue at the end of the day.
And it's
I
not
also-
going down. I know from personal experience.
Right.
That the room charge is not going down.
And that's also what I was kind of surprised about. And I'm like, why isn't this in their capital improvement project? You know, like why haven't they been doing that as part of this? But the other part too is 141 people. So $75,000, it's the second largest request here for 141 people. And is it supporting the greater good? I'm absolutely for those individuals that are in there and who are able to pay that. And I do know that there are some subsidized programs for that as well. But I also look at, I think there are several nursing homes fairly close to us that have been receiving larger grants from the state. And I'm just wondering, like, you know, is there other opportunities outside of the city for them to be requesting those types of things?
I mean, I think they kind of said that
I think they probably could.
reached out as much as they
Digs.
could, you know, for grants and stuff like that.
Yeah, but I mean, like, there's been some pretty significant things that have been given
Yeah.
by the state recently to surrounding areas that have care facilities. So, I mean, like, I'm not trying to say I'm against this, but I am also just looking at this from the point of view of, like, is this providing the greater good for the other 7,400 people? And I don't know if I see that.
I wonder if they reached out to Deb Keel, you know, because she's on that public health, or she's all about with the healthcare down in
Kind of
St.
sounded,
Paul.
like what they have reached out for didn't fit into parameters of
But I mean,
the
you
actual
know,
building process of this whole thing, and maybe that's part of the reason why they're not getting some of the state dollars, because they're meant for certain things exactly, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Well,
guess
it
I
works
would
out
also
to-
look
It
at
works
this.
out to $532 a piece for those 141 people. That's 75,000.
Yep.
So
Well, again, maybe if you want to discuss.
that's $44 a month.
Yeah,
It seems like.
And that's just what the room rate went up.
That's,
I guess as a consensus, if you're looking for a consensus, I'm probably not in favor of this one right now.
Well,
I would
again,
Yeah.
you don't have
say
to
the
decide
same.
tonight, you can.
Yeah.
mull
At
it
least
over.
not a full
I would just say
figure.
this is not my priority.
Right? It's not right?
okay. Downtown Crookston Development Partnership. My 2 cents worth is that, you know, they're looking at signage and benches and I can't remember else, but, you know, I think it's a good idea, but I'd like them to hold off with that aspect because we're looking at a road construction in a couple of years. Would these have to be moved or in the way or reset?
I just remember back when we gave them, what was it, 40,000 or whatever dollars it was to hire this person. I was on the planning and zoning, and they came in about signage, and that was their big thing. We're gonna do this signage, and they had all these things, and all of a sudden it just, nothing, and that was a lot of years ago.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of worries me a little bit, what these dollars are gonna go for, and
Yeah.
where that area is headed and has been headed. I mean, what have you seen? Where are they going? Or, you know what I mean? It's a little bit, I mean, I'm not saying what they were gonna do wasn't good for the city. We just haven't seen it.
Well, I think that they've done a lot of really good things, and I think what I've seen most is a lot of the programming. They're really the ones who are like really spearheading a lot of the things that are happening downtown, whether it's the food trucks or the Tuesday Tunes or things like that. And I think those are really important things, and I think that those bring people downtown, and it's, you know, other ways of creating community. And I think that if we were to give money, I'd like us to be really clear on what we give it for. I'd like to see us to support some of those things. I think they've been really positive things for us. But if we were to give it, I think I would probably be more likely to give that money if it was towards those kind of events versus the seating and things like that, knowing that we are looking at changing up what the downtown's gonna look like in the next couple of years. And on top of it, as far as signage is concerned, you know, Dawn's been out there singing the praises of getting those signs up and getting those businesses a little bit more beautified in the downtown as well. So I think there might be some other opportunities there. And also in the CVB, let's talk about that. They have like $120,000 in their bank account right now. You know, these are the types of things, bringing these events, bringing people to the downtown. Those are the types of things that, like, we should be, you know, singing from the rooftops. It's like, what's to do in town? Well, every Tuesday in the summertime, we have these bands. Those are the types of things. So I'd like to see us also have those conversations with the CVB and seeing them support the DP in that regard.
The grant request can be broken apart.
Right.
I was gonna say, their request, I think their top dollar is $3,000, if I remember right.
Well,
They can change that, of course, but that's just one thing.
I think this, when we go back and talk about what we want to stipulate it for, I think that we would need to be like really clear what we're stipulating those dollars for, if we're to
So-
support them.
Again, you can break it up if you're interested in the Tunes on Tuesday or those kind of things, certainly within your all
We just-
parameter to do
You
whatever.
look at this, they're asking for $5,000.
Well, 5,000 for what, chalk it up?
Right.
I had,
Which
written
is
down
good.
$5,000 for, Chalk It Up and $5,000 for Tunes on Tuesday.
They wanted 10,000?
That's what they were asking for. I believe last year it was,
Oh, I was looking at the wrong one here.
I don't think we gave them 10,000.
I thought
We gave 5, didn't we?
I believe so. That's my
They're at the
recollection.
DCDP is asking for 40,000.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And I think they asked something similar last year too. And I think we asked them like what their priority was, and then we gave them what their top priority was, and that's why we gave them the 5.
Because benches are 19,000. I can't remember what he said with the signage.
Yeah,
but-
I had it written down on my sheet.
And the benches have been donated by other entities.
Yeah, that was a half and half.
Like
thing.
Rotary.
Benches were
If you
16,000.
wanted one, you paid half
Yeah,
one,
mine.
and then
Yes.
they would come in
Signage
and
was
pay the other half.
11,900. Chalk It Up was 5. Tuesday Tunes were 5.
So you're willing to go, I don't know, we did 5 last year.
I think we wait on this one until we get some closer levy
Numbers?
stuff.
I'm pro supporting them, but I'm not pro supporting all the things around here.
No.
And I think we wait till we get a better idea of where we're at. But I think like Tuesday Tunes has been amazing. The Chalk It Up food trucks has been amazing. I am a little concerned about like benches and receptacles, just because I wonder if that's something also too more with your guys' department, as you know, where are you seeing there's a need for those? And then also at the end of the day, who's emptying those receptacles, right? So, I mean, I think that there needs to be some buy-in, or that maybe needs to be something that you guys are seeing there's a usage and a need, right? Before we maybe have those conversations, or are those benches in places that you now have to clean snow from? And so I think
like
it needs to be a
Mayor
larger
said,
conversation.
The main street stuff is gonna be huge. when
That'll
it
be
comes
coming
to
down in 2 to 3 years, and
Yeah.
how they're configured and what
Where
the
it
plans
goes and
are.
what they do and.
Okay, I missed the transition between downtown community development and the chamber. I missed that in our discussion just now. So are we talking about the
think we might have skipped
Crookston
one.
development, or are we
Yes.
talking about
Crookston
funding the
development.
chamber?
I think
DCDP.
we've been talking about the DCDP. I mentioned that the CVB has some money that I think could help the DCDP.
So if you could help me, this alphabet soup that we're spitting out, I don't compute. So if we could talk about the actual grant applicant as it's written, that works with my brain.
Okay, Downtown Crookston Development Partnership is who we're talking about right now.
Okay.
That's DCDP.
What? No. And I don't think the folks that are listening to us do either. So,
Well,
as much as we can, reduce the jargon, and let's talk so that people understand what we're talking about. I'm not used to these kinds of conversations, so, if you'll be a little more patient with me, I'm not as quick to the draw as some of you are.
So you want to hold off? I mean, I'm comfortable with giving them some money for,
Yeah, I'm comfortable giving them
But chalk-
something, but not 40.
exactly,
Their top two, I would probably be my votes.
the Chalk It Up and
Tuesday Tunes.
Tuesday Tunes.
And like I
That
said,
would be-
we didn't really need to sit and wait until see what.
Right,
levies
but
are.
I think we're just saying like, if we're going to, this is where we would,
Right.
10,000 would be reasonable.
So you want to say 10,000 consensus?
tentatively, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
That's fine.
Tentative consensus.
Yes, very tentatively.
If everything goes according to plan.
If everything works out.
Yeah.
Well, Crookston Area Chamber of Commerce was not here.
We need to just wait till we get something
Yeah,
from
they're
them.
just reorganizing now, so they're trying to figure it out, and so I think we need to wait on that one.
Okay,
I agree.
I mean, if we're waiting anyways, right?
Yeah,
Right.
they're waiting, and we're waiting, so we'll have to, they're meeting, so they'll figure it out.
okay. So we can put them on hold for a
Yep.
bit.
Sure.
Golden Link Senior Center, 110.
Historically, just historically, I believe, in the time that I've been involved, they started at 83. They went to 91. I believe last year it was 98.
Yeah, it's been
91,
creeping up.
980, it says.
Okay, for 22 or 23?
23, it was 91, 980.
Okay.
So,
I'm just wondering, we're kind of giving them, or granting them that 91,000, and now they want 110. I guess I would want more explanation what it's for.
Like what the breakdown is.
well, I know, it'd be nice if they had some firm numbers. They talked about lighting for interior, exterior. And then, they were saying their electrical is all fuses. They want to put it over to a breaker panel.
But I don't think this is for any of that. I think it's a lot of operational, I mean, overall operational cost, not for special projects like fixing a breaker box. You know, that's gonna be outside and above and beyond, I think, of what they're asking here.
And
Exactly.
Crookston area seniors is the same thing as Golden Link?
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they call it the Golden Link, but they do have membership, and they have membership outside of Crookston residents. They can be members as well. I don't think their dues are, if I want to remember, was it like
It's
$20?
pretty-
$25.
$25, right.
It's pretty minimal.
But, and it is specifically allowed to give money to community centers under
So the,
statute and case law.
Some of the arguments that has been said in the past is we seem to funnel, or not funnel, but through the Parks and Recs Department, a lot of money for the youth. And there's, you know, the argument was, you know, what are we doing for the elderly? So when it was brought to me like that, it made me support this more than I initially had, I guess. So I'm not sure if I'm there in 110,000. I'd like to, maybe if they could break it down and,
Break it down.
you know.
I
but-
think like similarly to like what Scruffy Tales did, where they like actually had the quote from the people who were going to be doing the work.
I know the last time on the Golden Link that we gave a good hunk for was their walk-in coolers.
Yep, it was like 75 or
correct?
something,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that was,
That was- we
at
didn't
least that was a big portion, they said, this is what this is for.
Yeah,
You know, so I think, yeah, she had electrical, but how much is that? How much
Right.
is?
I think just having a better idea of what exactly they're needing it and utilizing it for is probably better. I am definitely pro giving some amount of money, because I think this does address a certain need within our community and a certain population. I also think that, you know, I participate in a couple different community groups, and they also utilize the Golden Link for meeting places, and so I don't think this is strictly to the elderly population either. I think it's, you know, Girl Scouts meets there. I think Boy Scouts is meet there. I think there's a couple other different type of like service organizations that meet there as well. I think like isn't like VFW or something, one of those
Yep.
I think has some type of,
I think they all do, Legion.
yeah. So I mean, I think there's also, we need to think that this isn't just for the senior population, but also is providing a community space for a lot of other
Although
groups.
a lot of those people are seniors, but some of those groups also have money that they could maybe donate.
True, and I don't know if they do provide
That I don't know either.
Yeah, yeah,
So would you like me to contact them and get a specifics as to what this particular request would fund?
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe see what their priorities are.
Mhm.
I don't
And I
know.
know that, didn't we bump it up a little bit last year for
Yes.
snow?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we
Because that
went
was a
from the,
change on our part.
Yeah.
Because we
Yep.
stopped cleaning
Yep.
their snow.
Yep.
Yep.
And garbage.
that was the
So
main
that
reason.
should be also considered when thinking of that dollar amount.
Okay. That one will be on hold. Scruffy Tails Humane Society. They're asking for 20 grand.
I think that's a real reasonable amount for what she was explaining, what needed to be done there. I think that building, you know, since I lived across the street from it, since the day it was built, has been there without any sort of maintenance for years and years and years. And I think I mean, what would we do without them? We'd have a bunch of stray cats and dogs running around the neighborhoods and stuff like that. I mean, they really do a nice job.
Yeah, they do.
And the work that was done to
They're really nice.
renovate what was formerly the thrift store. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at that renovation, they've done a marvelous job.
Outside there, they did a really nice
And-
job too.
Yep, they've updated some of the HVAC, the heating systems, so they've addressed some significant issues to keep the doors open. And I think that Anna has presented a reasonable budget for the work that they want to achieve.
Well, I just,
Like
and just,
their running area for the dogs, you know, I guess I didn't notice it before, but it's not nicely fenced in.
Yeah.
To keep the
They've done a nice
dog
job.
noise down and whatever, and
Yeah.
so it looks very nice and
well, and I will tell you, I went to their open house, was that a couple months ago? And I remember going there, taking students there like, 5 years ago, and the urine smell was so horrific that like we could barely be inside. And the amount of like cleaning that they've done, and I think it's really important, as Anna was saying, is talking about like the industry standards for humane societies and making sure we're like at par with that. I think is a big thing. And obviously, it's being utilized, there's an uptick in usage. It's like doubled in usage since last year, and I'm sure some of that has to do with what they've done so far, but obviously there's a real need for it as well going forward.
And we've got a qualified person running the program now,
Right.
so it's,
I don't
Yep.
think $20,000 is a lot, in my opinion. For
Not with what they
what
got going
needs to
on.
be
Well, and
done.
it's supporting
Stuff.
our police department too in its own way. I think there's a lot there to be said.
yeah, it's,
I'd also like to see the other different entities outside of Crookston who are utilizing us
Well, that's-
to maybe support
that's
them a little
my-
bit more
That's
too.
where I come from a little bit, but, I mean, I'm in support of Scruffy Tails, but I'm looking at the bigger picture of what we gotta, second part of our conversations we're having here tonight, and, it just seems like, like I said earlier, it just seems like every year, it's, okay, I got 5 last year, let's go for 20 this year. Last year I got 20, let's go for 40 this year.
Well, I
I
think
don't think
my
it's that- I
my
don't
argument
think
against that would be that
I
it's a
don't think
one-time
it's-
purchase and not like, this is an operating budget, right? So if it wasn't like, if they were trying to utilize it to sustain themselves, I would probably question it a little bit more, but obviously there's these like one-off things that they need to do, and then it'll be done,
I don't
right?
think that they're progressing like that at all. I think they're looking at what they really need, and we should support them.
Well, she also mentioned that, it's kind of a big-time ask for them, but, she said if they come to the well again sometime, it would be less money.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think for them to be more self-sustained and better to the community, they need to upgrade.
Yep.
An upgrade, seriously. My dad was a huge dog walker when he could, and everybody know him, a big Great Dane, used to walk at 6-8 miles a day, and he'd go over there, and that urine smell, he couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
He couldn't take it anymore. He made him sick to go over there and see the dogs in there. And that smell and everything, and I can't even.
Well, I
go
can't
there.
imagine that was healthy for the workers
No.
to be
And that place has
breathing in.
improved so much.
I mean, like
it's
everybody's saying,
unbelievable.
everything
Yeah.
that they've been doing, they've been spending their money well.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
They
you can
haven't-
see that it's actually,
Yeah,
there's a tangible
Yeah.
yeah.
change.
So consensus?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Is this a permanent consensus or temporary?
It's tentative
It's tentative.
until we find out.
Everything's tentative.
Everything is tentative.
Just we have to
So,
discuss.
And
it.
that was a full
Yep.
20?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
so more information with Benedictine Living Community and the Golden Link Center.
I know,
And
what is,
Do we need more information for Benedictine?
No, we weren't. We were just
No.
gonna wait on it till we found out what, the levy's coming in at and then discuss it again.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
and then we're gonna wait on the Crookston Area Chamber too.
Yep.
And I will-
That's on hold, and then DCDP we're gonna look at later,
Wait
but 10,000.
chamber.
Then,
Yeah.
in the future, can we get some type of a format that they fill out in advance that maybe bullet of what they're. so
You know,
that-
Corky, I'm just kind of like, looking at like planning and zoning. When someone fills something out, they have to like meet this criteria and they need to check it off and then explain how they meet the
Right.
criteria. I think that might be helpful instead of like making assumptions. If we could have a form that did those.
well, and I think with the Benedictines, frankly, you've got to take a real hard look at the overall benefit to the community.
Right.
Yeah.
No doubt every one of these people can take whatever help they get.
Well, and I was trying to understand the profit on there because it looks like it was like $100 and something thousand in profit in revenue. And I'm just like, why isn't part of this being like put into a capital improvement project? You know, this elevator didn't happen overnight.
I don't know if it didn't seem like it. I don't know how long these two young ladies were working there, but I think there's some fixes
Yeah.
that have happened throughout the years with other people in the management
But
position.
I think that in running anything, working at a university, we always had a capital improvement project. We knew that we're gonna have to replace those roofs. We knew we were gonna have to do those things, right? So, just something, it's hard for me to get over.
So I just want to summarize. Consensus on ox cart for 6,000 specifically related to the purchase and exhibition of fireworks.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Tri-Valley consensus $15,000. And I'm to get data and information regarding ridership.
Yep. Be nice to know what usage is for.
Then on the Benedictines, teetering to no, but wait. DCDP, Downtown Crookston Development Partnership, consensus for 10, 5 each for Tuesday tunes and chalk it up.
And I think we'd look at it later.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
essentially,
all
but
of
I
them
think,
are.
I think we wanted to like just be very specific about what we'd like those funds to go towards.
Yep. Chamber, wait. Golden Link, get a breakdown of the usage of the money, specifics on that. Priorities, specifics, and Scruffy Tails, 20,000 consensus.
Yep.
And Corky, can, when they do their breakdown for the Golden Link, we just also have them make sure to add in what the cost for snow removal is as part of that consideration.
I think they have garbage service too.
Or, yeah, that
Both.
too then, those two things. Because that's what we had considered last year as part
I'll
of
tell
the,
you what, my father-in-law and everybody, but I've eaten there too, and they're doing a good thing for even the community. If you've
Yeah.
never eaten there, it's a very good place to eat.
Seems busy.
Very busy, you go in there and you can sit down, you can visit with all the people, and my mother-in-law, father-in-law eat there every day.
yeah.
I mean, it's
Well,
just,
and I will say, like, just looking at some of the programming they do, I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of services they really provide to the
That's
community.
more of a community service. There might be some questions about serving lunches in competition, but I'll get that, I'll get those things if that's your wishes.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, moving on, proposed adjustment budget for 2024.
Okay, first of all, if you have not filled out your priority list, would you do that? Second, and get it to either Audrey or I. Secondly, the ones that we did fill it out, none of those priorities were expressed to any of the department heads, because some of you expressed that you didn't want to pressure them to get to certain priorities. So they were not expressed, other than Audrey and I knew what they were, but we didn't express them. So you see in front of you what we have accomplished to date in terms of meeting with the appropriate individuals in the departments or boards. And these were the items that in consultation were suggested for reduction. Again, bottom line, if you read this chart, got to factor in, we did get increased revenues from our LGA. You can see that that was a significant increase. The others were also increases in revenue. We went through the items and came to this number with the proposed or assumed reductions. And so bottom line is it's 24.92% levy increase if these were accepted.
So-
We do,
Can I just clarify on here? So these are the things, when you say adjusted, does that mean these are taken out?
yes,
Okay.
these are removed.
As we go through these, could we go through them section by section?
Sure,
So if people have any comment, they can do it orderly.
Sure. Just so you also know, we have met with Public Works. There could potentially be some reductions there. We have yet to meet with Park and Rec, and I believe we're doing that tomorrow. And we schedule an hour and a half to 2 hours with each department and just say, do you have some potential areas of reduction?
Okay.
We don't say, you're gonna take this out, you're gonna take that out, knowing where we're at, what would you propose? And they've been very good in saying, these are the things that they would rate as tier 2 or tier 3. Not a need, but
Okay.
like it, but can certainly move it off or not act on it,
Okay.
except in our CIP.
Is there one of these up there for Don?
Oh, here, right here. It should be in the packet, but there it is. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
so, yeah, if you have something with city administration,
What is a substitute attorney?
we sometimes have to pay another attorney because the law office that we employ as city attorney has conflict.
Okay.
Like in a criminal prosecution, if that law office represents the defendant, this is referred to East Grand Forks to take over to handle that particular criminal case.
Sure, so we're increasing that one, we're not
No, we're-
decreasing it.
No,
We-
we're,
Leaving it the same.
We just.
It says increased,
yeah, it says increased.
Yeah, increased,
so you're adding more?
We don't, doesn't happen often that we need
Yeah, I'm just curious, I thought these were all,
So we had a separate legal fees fund that we have consolidated under the city administrator. And with that consolidation, we had noticed that the substitute attorney line item was not carried to the city administrator fund.
okay.
Oh.
So it just wasn't accounted for,
right.
Right.
okay.
So it's not an actual increase, it's just not accounted for.
Okay.
Finance Department? Any questions?
So the question I have is, with our finance department, the issues that we've had for the last 2 decades, maybe, I don't know. Do we just need more staff? I mean, that's the question that we have, and I just don't want to go into this every year. I just want to make sure we're staffed fully. If a person goes on vacation, are they backed up for 3 weeks just to get back on track? Is that a case that's happening now?
Well, yes, we've talked about this, and we have requested proposals as Audrey was indicating, we've got out some requests for proposals on finance department best practices, how we can best do this. Audrey's got a little more specifics.
One of the components that is part of our proposals is actually going to consist of the firm coming in and doing an assessment of the finance department. They would essentially be looking at everybody's roles and how those roles correlate with the internal controls that we need to keep in place, as well as meeting the work papers and tracking aspects for the audit.
And also the reconciling, right?
That's all in the same
Technically a
request.
separate service. I'm speaking directly, like specifically about the assessment of the finance
Right.
department. The reconciliation for bank recs, month end, year end, and 23 audit preparation is a completely separate service.
And we're
But I think-
requesting for proposals for that work as well.
Yes, we have different options, if you may, within those proposals that we
So-
have received.
I mean, I don't know, so in your original budget, you requested an additional accounting position.
Mhm.
You did that for a reason, so why are you now taking it out?
I guess we weren't necessarily given necessary direction. These are all the items that we can reduce.
Do you feel you're appropriately staffed now?
No.
Then why would we take this out?
So can I ask, before you answer that question, can I ask this? By having whatever this outside entity that helps with the reconciling of budgets and things of that nature, does that help reduce the workload without us having to then have to pay for benefits and an additional person? Is that the idea?
No, that is not the idea.
I think that's a whole separate thing, isn't it? That's, that audit that you're looking at is to develop procedures and.
Right, there's that, but then there's also the reconciling piece.
They're
Are you
two
just
separate-
reconciling the past stuff that hasn't been done and not thinking about doing that with the same company going forward?
So I had put this in the budget because I wasn't given a clear direction as to whether or not I can plan to have a second accountant. So I guess this is the exact reason why it's on there, is to have the discussion and to have the direction. I personally feel that we need to have 2 accountants, a payroll, accounts payable clerk, as well as a finance director to meet all of the accounting duties that need to be completed to get us
Okay.
audit ready.
From what you just said right there, I am not in favor of taking out that position out of this budget. So that's.
And that's exactly the point, to bring it
Right.
forward.
And that's
this
why this step, I feel, we've never done this step before. We've asked the department heads to get down to a number, and bam, they got down to a number. We don't know why.
Now you know
But
why.
Now we know
I also
why.
wonder though, is if there's an opportunity to outsource some of this and not make it another position.
There is that opportunity. We have not approached the firms to provide a proposal with that mindset of outsourcing.
I mean, I'm just curious to know what the difference between adding an additional person at almost $100,000 or $96,000 or outsourcing it for when there's a need of utilization. So I'd like to see, what would make most sense fiscally for us to do that.
And exactly why we're doing this. We can certainly do that.
Okay.
And two, we're in a really unique situation for year 23 with the turnover that the finance department has experienced. So
Yeah.
please keep that in mind as well.
So as I understand it, you would like Audrey and I to also ask in proposals, would your firm be able to provide outsourcing, accounting services, and if so, what would be the cost?
So
I'd just like to see comparatively.
what are your thoughts on that outsourcing? Do you think that's a good way to go?
We have had a few different kind of conversations regarding not only the accountant position, but also maybe helping assist with some of the HR payroll functions.
Well, I'm in favor of having you do that research about additional work that could be included. It's kind of goes to Delane's wanting to check on seeing what a leased vehicle or a leased piece of.
We're gonna lease it.
Let's lease out this accounting piece and see what it could come to.
I just wonder though, if it gives us more flexibility than if you have that outsourced and then there's the need for, you know, whatever, additionally that you didn't initially hire that person for, then you have a little bit more flexibility of, and being your first year here too, not knowing really what those holes look like as much as you probably would in one full year. And maybe at some point, we do hire another person, but at least you have a better idea after going through a full year with us, like where you really see the need is for that additional person. And maybe it's not an additional accountant, maybe it's a part-time, half-time accountant, half-time something else, you know? So I just wonder if it's giving a better educated decision by having at least one full year of making, you know.
And that's why I wanted the assessment. I do know that some of the proposals have indicated a timeline of a 2 to 3 week window to have a full assessment done on the finance department, which would also aid us in determining for this budget whether or not the need for an additional account position is really there.
We could, you know, and I'm done messing around with the finance department. I think we should budget for it. And then if we get down and you do your research and we don't need it, then we don't do it. But I think we need to budget for it, just in case.
I just think, I don't know, if you're gonna try to outsource some accounting, I think it's day-to-day operations with this accountant position. I just think that it's gonna run more to outsource than,
Yeah, I don't know.
And a slower process, more than likely.
I think we're making some assumptions that we don't
We
know the
are.
answers to.
Well, how many, raise your hand if you know anything about municipal finance, okay?
Well, we're listening.
Audrey,
to the
please
person
raise
that
your
does.
hand.
Yeah.
No, what we can do, we can add this back
So
in.
the thing is, Tim, I am listening to the person that knows, and I asked her point blank, is she adequately staffed, and she said no. So that tells me right there, we need to budget for this person, and then like what you guys said, if there's something we can do that we can get in at a better cost.
Well, I think
savings.
adequately staffed can mean two different things. It could be hiring a new person, or it means that we're outsourcing some of the work. So what she's saying is she needs the support and help, right?
Yeah.
What that looks like, I think, is based on us doing, or you doing the research and letting us know what seems to be the best plan of action.
So we will add it back in,
Yes.
Yep.
and that's exactly why we're here.
Yep.
So we'll put that, we'll create, might as well just stay, who knows what.
Thank you, Audrey.
Just have a seat close by.
Okay, we'll add those, all of that back in. Okay, because the office reconfiguration, if we add another person, we have to reconfigure the physical environment in which they'll be acting. Okay? Okay. Building official, this was just some community improvement, and Greg was very comfortable removing that.
What does that mean?
That's what I was gonna say.
Well, it's some kind of, say if we have to tear down buildings and things, we've got some other sources that have come together to be able to do that.
Are we in range with other building permits as far as other cities, or are we in range as far as the fees?
I think Greg could answer that better, but I think yes, we are, because we did raise some of those fees.
Yeah, we already had that discussion.
Okay, community development.
Okay. First thing that I'm looking at here is the new marketing coordinator.
Yeah.
I want that in our budget. I think our city needs a marketing person. I don't think we should, listen, I think we need to try and see what kind of, energy this person can create for our community. I think we just never, I think what we've done in the past, we've had some of these department heads and we've challenged them to do it themselves. They don't have the time to do it themselves. They need somebody, we need somebody dedicated to just do marketing for our town and bring in events.
But I think not just marketing, I think that's the communication piece, right? And I think that's not what we do the best at. And I think having that person there. Also, I think relying on all these other kind of like one-off groups to try to provide like a more like solidified branded front of who Crookston is also isn't great, right? And I think that those groups really could be beneficial to kind of working with our marketing coordinator, but I think we need to have a pretty solid like understanding of who we are, how we're identifying as a city, what our opportunities are, and pushing out the same narrative across the way, especially when it comes to getting like new businesses in town and things like that. I think that this is such a crucial piece of that.
And then along with that is, I think we should all be a part of what we expect this marketing person to achieve and hold them accountable for if it's happening. So, I mean, I can't sit here right now and tell you what the goal looks like, but I just want to make sure that this person, you know, if we were to able to get them hired, there's some clear direction on what they need to do from year to year.
Just so you all know, I believe that the EDA director is working with the university marketing classes on 2 levels, and they'll take at least through the end of the
semester.
Second semester. One, she's working with the class to identify what things should be marketed, how they would be marketed. So that will be the end of the first semester, and there'll be a report and a presentation. Secondly, then in the second semester, the university class that did the marketing surveys will be developing a job description for the type of marketing coordinator or position that the city needs, okay? So if you extrapolate out, that isn't gonna happen until, let's say, June.
Right.
Then there could be you would have to meet and talk about what you've just talked about, Delane. So that's the reason, as I understand it, that the marketing coordinator was not in for 2024, but clearly anticipated for 2025.
That makes sense.
EDA board, did they pull, they pulled the marketing all right?
Yes,
Out of
the
their
EDA
budget.
board said, these are the things, knowing what we know about the situation, these are the things that we recommend be pulled out. That's the best I can.
Can I ask
I
about
think we
the,
should budget for it then again, and then when it gets put in there, we got it in our budget to cover it.
For 2024?
Right, even if it's later. I mean, I think we should get this marketing person going as fast. I would like to see, me personally, this marketing person to get going sooner than later.
well, and Delane, I think there's things that can be done before like fully realizing what they have. Like, I'd love to see an audit of our website and make sure that things are up to date and that they're like posting what's going on and providing those types of things. And maybe it's not a fully formed description, but I think that there are some things that can be done as they're like, you know, building that out a little bit that just need to be done, you know?
So for those of you in favor of the marketing coordinator, I know what I envision of this person doing. I'd like to hear some other comments of what you envision this person doing. I mean, for me, I would like to see events being planned, more events being planned. I'd like to see more events in our sports arena being planned, and that sports arena is not just a hockey arena, it's a community center. And I haven't seen a lot of community events going on there this whole summer.
And to your point, Delane, I think if that is one of the components of this coordinator, then that ought to be something that the Park and Rec Department tries to suggest or identifies in coordination with this class at the university, who's gonna identify things that we could market or that we should be marketing. I don't know what their results
Yeah,
gonna be.
I don't-
But this is a process that would involve all of our departments, perhaps.
I don't know if the marketing coordinator would be the person actually doing the events, but they would be the ones that would be marketing.
Well, then who would be then? I mean, is there
An
another?
event coordinator.
Yeah.
What?
An event coordinator.
So that's another person?
Yep.
Or you give that as a job responsibility to somebody that's currently in Park and Rec.
So that's not happening. I mean, that has been my expectation of the Park and Rec forever.
Yeah.
And it's not happening because, not because anybody's doing a bad job. I just don't think they have enough time to do that with their job.
And hopefully,
And maybe I'm wrong.
hopefully this class will identify more things that could be in the CSC or more things that could be at the Excellent Complex. I think that's part of their charge. I don't have details, but that was the clear expectation.
So like, I think the other part, it's not even about events. It's about like marketing what we already have.
Yep.
You know,
That's for
like
community
you can rent out in the turf rooms, you can do all these things, and that is nowhere to be seen anywhere, really. You know, I think it's actually marketing the things we already have too, and not necessarily about events as well. I think we could do better at that.
Then maybe I'm misunderstanding. I'm more about events. I mean, that's what I want at the end of the day for our city is events.
Absolutely.
And I think our citizens wants events, so then maybe we're not talking about a marketing coordinator anymore. Maybe I am talking more about an event planner.
And maybe that is part of the analysis of the CVB. Where would they be involved? There's certainly resources there so that they could perhaps employ that person, or they could offer financing to the Crookston Downtown Development Committee, or other entities that are trying to do things. Maybe the chamber, maybe they could help I don't know the answer, but I think what you've just said makes a lot of sense, that that's not necessarily what you're thinking in a marketing coordinator.
Right.
You're talking about an events planner or
That's,
coordinator.
I am looking to get our sports arena to have more events that our community can enjoy on a monthly basis.
And that should be conveyed to this marketing class saying, look, is this something that you can identify, and what types of things would be appropriate, and how often? That might be just what that class needs to.
And I'll say, just from a different perspective, having worked with a lot of CVBs in cities in running major events, is that what a marketing coordinator does is it tells me everything our city has to offer. Because I want to know, do you have enough beds for my 5,000 people that are coming into town? What type of venues do you have that we can plan our events in? So I think that if you're really thinking about what this person could be, is that they're like getting out there and sending out all over the place what Crookston has to offer. They don't necessarily have to be the ones that are planning the event, but they're getting in front of the people who would plan those events and letting them know what facilities we have to offer.
Maybe we should have a hybrid of a marketing/event planner.
Well, and I think that what Corky said, you know, that's where I think at the end of the day, this class will kind of provide some of that. But my bigger concern here is I think that there really needs to be better communication just all around with like what the city's conveying, what we have to offer, and all those types of things. And I think that's a pretty important piece.
I think for the most part, the people in Crookston know what there is. They just want something more to do with their.
But you also want to attract people from
all over the place.
just not
Yeah.
Crookston. You want.
Right.
I just feel that
My first priority, though, is the taxpayers here in town that are spending money in taxes for us to make this a city that they want to stay in.
I get that, but I would really, I don't want to rush into this, and I'd really like to see what that marketing at the university brings to the table.
I feel the same way.
Director,
But wouldn't like marketing our industries and our employers be part of
That'd be part of the whole
thing too,
We
you know,
think,
'cause if you're marketing
We
like
think.
New Flyer or de-incorporated, that's gonna bring in people for, like employees, and then once you got new employees, well, you got more housing. and
Might bring in new
it's
business.
gotta be everything, not just like.
But I think
Glenn
that's
is
what
saying
they're
that
marketing,
it's-
right? That's what our city marketer would be about too, is like showing new businesses that want to come to town. This is how much housing we have. This is how our schools look. This is what we have available for park systems. Like, they're providing the marketing to what we have, right?
To draw new business.
And then I think it's a whole nother conversation then about us actually creating events for them. I think we should be working with individuals who want to do that part of it, and that we're providing, this is what we have. This is the venues we have. These are the parks we have. These are the things that we can do, and this is a reason why you should come here.
Okay,
Right, this-
marketing coordinator, what's your consensus? Is to keep it in there, or let's get some more
I say
information?
keep it the way it is and wait for UMC class to.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna need an actual job description and stuff. I don't wanna rush somebody in and then have no direction.
but I think there's also, I'm hearing a consensus is we don't want to lose track of this.
Right.
We
Exactly.
don't want it just to
Don't want to
go
lose the
out.
traction.
Right.
Yes,
Yep.
that is something. Can I
It
ask,
already has.
huh?
Sounds to me it already has.
I know.
No.
That's why I was,
No.
but,
EDA
I mean-
director salary coordinator.
yeah, can we talk about, like, what market value is here? Because I know that was part of the conversation that was being had at Cheetah
Well, there was.
for the job description.
Yeah, the salary range for this request was 100 to 120,000. The market research that our HR guy has said is that we're between 100 and 105 for cities like us.
With the same job expectations and responsibilities that,
Yes, yes. So what I did is, well, you know her present salary. I just tacked on a number to get her in that range.
Okay.
That's,
Yep.
and a new job description was written.
there's not a new job description written. We took the things that our EDA person is doing and should be doing and compared them to those same type of job descriptions and duties in other communities.
Okay, I thought you guys had talked about redoing that job description.
Well,
so-
I think, yes, we have talked about it, but quite frankly, we just haven't had the time to do it.
Okay.
But that would be, this number would be a raise.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I'm okay with the I guess the financial project operations. Can you tell a little bit more about that? What that entails?
As Carrie had shared with us during our budget discussion, she wanted to have some of the grant applications that you submit for like reimbursements, that kind of after the back end grant process be handled with somebody at her EDA office.
Okay. But it's only 20,000, so is that supposed to be part of someone's job or what?
Well, the discussion was they want to keep these two entities, housing, where the accountant is now, separate from the EDA.
Yeah.
Right.
That sounds good.
And the back end could be done here in City Hall,
Absolutely.
as opposed to at
Yeah.
the Valley Tech Park.
Okay.
We would have that capability.
Yeah, that's better.
What is the chamber membership program?
Remember to
That's
be a
better.
chamber, or dues to be a.
Those are the dues.
Oh, those are just the dues?
Dues are due, yeah.
Okay. The municipal consulting one, is this the Ellers financial business plan?
It was under the city administrator.
I believe that 60,000 was a part of the street assessment that we have coming up, that we
Oh,
just
yes, this is a
had
part of the
proposal
street.
for.
We put out proposals and we budgeted for what we thought the proposals would be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's this number.
So we're not doing the assessment?
Oh, no, we are. It's just it's coming from different places in our budget.
So it's
This
just
is
coming
one-
out of her, this is just coming out of her budget?
And going somewhere else.
And going, yes.
Okay.
And then there are other, within the public works, there are divisions of the public works that are also budgeting a number
Certain
similar to
portion?
this.
Okay. Marketing budget, are we not doing any marketing budget at all?
Well, this was the budget that was proposed.
Yeah.
And in speaking with the board chair and the finance committee, if we took out the marketing coordinator, at this point, there would be no need for a marketing budget
So
under
we would do
this.
any marketing regardless?
No, I'm not saying that.
That's why I'm asking, do we take out the whole marketing budget, or is this
This was the whole
140?
marketing budget that was requested at the time of the budget presentation.
Sure, so is there any money available for marketing? That's what I'm asking.
Not here, no. Whether you want
But
to
is
add.
there somewhere?
Well, no, well, if you want to add some back in, that's up to you. But then who would be doing the marketing? Where would it flow?
I mean, if we're not gonna have a marketing coordinator, marketing budget is pretty much why spend it, so.
I don't think that, I don't know, I don't know if the marketing coordinator is the only person who could do marketing. I just think about like,
Well, who has done it in the past?
Well, I think that's part of CVB that does a lot of marketing, or supposed to be doing a
well,
lot of
I'm just curious about like, and I would ask that, like, if there was some things, like some pamphlets or something that we wanted to put out for like businesses that are interested in coming to town, that have like those, highlights of like what Crookston has available. Are we gonna wait a whole nother year before we say anything or do anything? Or are we gonna have, maybe a UMC intern can do something like that for us, where we at least have some type of marketing pieces that are available in the meantime?
So then, if you're looking at an intern from the university, put part-time intern back in there for that.
Well, again, that was a paid. Some of these interns will do it for credit.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be nice to have some type of budget available for them. And I think it's really important that we continue to work with the university. I don't know if that necessarily always needs to be for free. I have my own feelings about that.
I mean, I think it's money. I think it's a waste of money to have somebody doing marketing that doesn't know what they're doing with marketing.
Well, I wouldn't have somebody that's not knowing what they're doing, Delaney.
What?
That wouldn't make sense.
I'm sorry.
I wouldn't think that we would have somebody not knowing what they were doing marketing.
Well, who do we have?
I'm just saying, like, that could be something that's done through the university, something that we work with them on. It doesn't necessarily have to be a student. It could be somebody that's part of the extension and outreach. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities there.
But isn't that what the university does as far as like marketing or whatever they do, EDA portion out there? Isn't that a gift to Minnesota from the University of Minnesota?
The Extension Services works with, and always has been part of the Morale Act, is they provide opportunities and help for rural areas or agricultural areas. But that does not mean that it's free. There's definitely funding that's sometimes available, but you can't just expect it to be free. I don't know, I guess I would like to know if there would be any need or want there from the EDA before completely axing out all of the 140,000. That's all I would say on that. And then the acquisition of of buildings, is that not what we've been talking about as far as, or is that just a not this year situation?
No. This is if the opportunity arises to acquire property to fulfill an express need by this council, we put that in there.
So for example.
So we're not budgeting for it?
Washington School.
I wasn't gonna negotiate
Well-
in public, but yes.
Lincoln
Yeah,
School.
I mean,
Yes.
say it out loud.
Washington School, yes.
Lincoln's out.
Why do you say no, Christie?
Yeah.
Because there's been a lot of thoughts behind how that acquisition would happen, that's why. And it doesn't necessarily need to happen here, right now.
Conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, let's move
Works for
on.
me.
Okay,
Information.
information technology, Chad is here, but we had conversations with him. One of the things is electronic time management. In talking with Chad, he is, in his budget, he has some Encode updates. And to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, to do the Encode update and the electronic timekeeping management in the same year would be almost impossible. Chad?
Yeah, so the upgrade of the financial software, the acronym used there is ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, our Encode software. That is going to be a major undertaking, and that upgrade has to be complete before we would be able to successfully take on electronic timekeeping management. One is a module to the other.
The question is then, if you knew that before you made your budget, so then why did you put the time code in your budget?
So in looking at it, in speaking with Audrey, I have a meeting tomorrow with Audrey and Corky to go into further detail. But there isn't any reason why during the upgrade of the financial software, we can't start the conversation and perhaps some of the conversion process that involves electronic timekeeping management.
So how much of the way we're doing time now takes up you and your staff's time? I mean, is that, you suggested that you needed another person, but I mean, is any of it related to payroll? Of doing it the way that we're doing it now?
Yeah.
Like through paper?
I would say from my point of view, no, but Audrey can also speak to that.
I would agree with that point of view. I don't think that the payroll component is factoring into the need or lack thereof for the accounting staff.
Okay. So then, would this be put on probably the budget for next year?
Yeah, I would say something to consider, if not eliminating all of that in the budget for '24, maybe putting some of it into reserve, perhaps even up to half of it, so that it isn't such a spend in '25.
I'd be in favor of that then. I mean, I think there's a need for our city to get up with the times on doing payroll.
Well, and there's so many nuances based on like if you're fire or your place or like how you work for
Correct.
time. I mean, I think that you have like 4 or 5 different ways of possibly accruing your time based on like what particular classification you are. So I agree with you on that. Eventually that needs to be, once you do that. Chad, my question is about the Muni code. Can that not be done this year? Because I know that's a pretty important one for us to come.
So are you talking, when you say Municode, that's a different product under Tyler Technologies?
Yeah, that you have marked off here.
So I'm suggesting that we complete the Encode ERP conversion, which is moving to the SaaS-based version of our financial software. When you refer to Munis.
When you do the Muni code codification.
Oh, okay, excuse me. Yep, I'm sorry. You're talking about the codification software. Forgive me, I was confusing apples and oranges.
Yeah. So the Muni code codification. I mean, like I know that that's a real need.
Mm-hmm.
So is there something that needs to happen before we can start to roll this out, or do you already feel that you're at capacity for what you need to convert this year?
Yeah. So the product that we have right now that was quoted to us is a combination of legal services in review of the code as well as the online hosting component of that code book. I think, in my opinion, there needs to be some reflection on whether or not we want to continue to work with our legal team to complete some of that review. My feelings are that is going to be a long process. If we completely outsource to Muni Code, that review would need to take place. It's going to be at least a year for that to occur. I guess I looked at it as not a need, but a want. If we were to begin that process, if we did spend that money, I don't think it would be money wasted. But I tried to prioritize it against what I felt were the priorities, which was the ERP system and, like I said, gearing up and perhaps with reserves
Sure.
for the ETN
So
for
can
electronic
you,
timekeeping.
like, maybe expand on what muni codification is? Because I don't know if everybody really understands what it is.
Absolutely. So what codification is, what the Muni Code product is our city code book, okay? So that is all, and perhaps help me out if I start getting into legal water here, Corky, that I'm using the right terminology, but effectively it's everything that's been passed by resolution, which becomes then the definition of how our organization operates. And so we have a version of that code book that is presently electronically available from our website. However, to keep that code book up to date requires constant updates as new resolutions are passed. And then it requires the legal review of the specific language that goes into the code book to make sure that it's adopted correctly. Those updates, those have not really been occurring properly for at least 4 to 5 years, in my opinion.
And I think that even like some of the other part is for me, honestly, is transparency and access. And like, even when we're asking questions like, well, what was the resolution or how is that passed? We don't have that readily available for like your average
That's
constituent to look up. And so I understand it's I don't know, I feel like that's really important, that we're able to provide that service to ourselves as well as our constituents when they're looking something up specifically. And it just, I think your predecessor just didn't update that like
Right,
it
right.
probably could have been.
And here, we also have to coordinate the ordinances, because when you act and pass ordinances, they have to be coordinated with what presently exists in coordination with resolutions. So there has, in my opinion, there has to be a lot of front-end work before we say, okay, now it's ready to be plugged into this Muni code. And what we're doing tonight is, again, identifying things either now or don't forget them, guys.
Right.
Keep them in mind for the next year. And we had a good discussion about this with Chad, Audrey, and I about, we have to do this.
Yeah.
But we need to do the front-end work in order to be able to implement it properly.
So question, Corky, is there any conversation about doing that front-end work in this next year?
Well, hasn't been any till we work on the budget, but if that is something that we're looking at for 25, then if you choose the law firm we have, and why wouldn't you, they do good, but we would have to get them on board to do that work, and that will increase some of the.
So is that's an expense?
That's an expense, that
Right.
increases.
So where do we budget that expense?
You
for-
would
to start the
probably
work?
budget it in professional fees or under administration.
For 24?
You want to do it in 24?
If you want to do it in
Well,
24.
If we want to get it in 25, we have to do the prep work in 24.
Well, and it's, Councilwoman Delane, if I might clarify, there's at least a year's worth of that prep work. So before that product, that online transparent version of that code book would be available, in our conversations with the Muni Code people, it's going to take at least a year
So-
for them to complete that review.
So the 16,000 is just for the Muni Code,
Just the software.
The software.
software?
Yeah, and
service.
and the professional review service. But I'm suggesting that something to consider upon a year of adoption, either we do it in 24 or 25.
I think-
Whatever that year is, it's going to push out a year before that's
I
ready.
think we need to get it going, and I think we need to figure out what the cost is to get it going in '25, the work that we're gonna do in '24, and I think we need to budget for that.
Yeah, I think we need to know what step one is and what it costs.
Yeah.
Because this
Right.
obviously looks like step two from what
So,
you're saying.
We can, I've written down cost, get cost. We'll work with Chad, work with the law firm to see if we can get some kind of.
I think that's important and it needs to get done.
Understood.
Okay, City Hall, this has been an ongoing item. We did a quick look around the carpet and the windows and that kind of thing. That's something that, it would be a want.
What about roof? That's not really a lot.
Well-
How's the roof look?
It looked okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Especially when we were talking about 65 point.
Is that part of the CIP? Like,
You know,
CIP is a moving target anyway, probably.
I know,
just-
but I'm just wondering, is that something that we're saving for? Roofs are not cheap.
you know, I don't think so. I'm trying to remember all these, I don't think we had a CIP for the roof of City
Was there
Hall.
an assessment for this building?
That's what I was trying to remember, if that was part of the facility study.
Okay, I have it here. I
think-
can look through it. I just
think
haven't
it
had time.
was. I think it was, but
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
Police Department, we've had 2 sessions with Darren. We just had one today, and he's solid on these.
Gas coming down, was that because we had made it so much higher? For the gas coming down 5,000, I mean, I don't expect you
Yes.
guys to drive less, so is that because the cost of gas has come down?
Yeah, if you remember, last year, when
We
we
bumped
set
it
our
up.
budgets, I think
Yeah.
we used like a 40% number
Yeah.
for utilities and
Yep.
gasoline. And so now we're far along enough through the year that we're comfortable removing that from the budget. It was, if you remember, it was kind of a moving target last year, and we just put a number on it.
Yep,
And so we're, yep.
okay.
And we have compared, in all of these instances, to-date expenditures and then tried to extrapolate.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Yep,
For the end
Sure.
of the year.
And then this motor vehicle,
So what that was is, so we still left, obviously, our business is cars, we need cars to do our job. And we still left in, as we do every year, to purchase 1 squad car. So our cars are on a 5-year rotation. What this 15,000 was, is we don't have a replacement plan, or currently don't, for our other vehicles, like our investigator squad cars and different vehicles in the police department and our fleet. So what that was, is it was a proposal. I was going to try to earmark some money each year and kind of save that money, so that when we get to a 3 or 4 year
Sure.
rotation, replace those. So, you know, it is something we'll have to look at down the road. However, our fleet is, as far as that side of it's pretty strong, and I'm comfortable with removing
So
it for next
why,
year.
again, why isn't that on the CIP?
It is.
it is.
It is.
It
Yeah,
is. It
so
was.
can I ask real quick, was it 15,000 you were earmarking every year or proposing to earmark, or was it like 20,000 and
No,
you
it's
just knocked it down?
15,000.
Okay,
Yep, so I completely removed that
Okay.
from my CIP. It was a portion of my CIP.
Okay. Is
do you
that-
think, I mean, like, do
do you think,
you need it?
I mean,
So, I mean, we have a strong, you know, we've currently been able to, through trading some forfeited vehicles and different things, replace, if you remember, being creative, replacing some of our investigator vehicles. So, you know, and they are substantially less expensive than a squad car, because they don't require the same amount of equipment. So, yeah, I mean, it's something we can look at, but I do feel comfortable that we can get by, you know, through 24 without, for lack of a better word, bankrolling some money
Sure.
to purchase vehicles down the
Okay.
road.
That's something we need to consider for next year.
Correct, it would be
Okay.
something, and again, that number, it's kind of like a moving target too, it's kind of difficult. Maybe it could be 8 or 10 or 50, you know, that number, we could maybe
Yeah.
even look at adjusting a little bit differently also.
Okay,
And then you see the fire department, and you see the total budget expenditures, and that's where we're at.
so volunteer fireman fees, is that a new cost or what? Or did we just hadn't put it in there?
It's an increase from what it has been.
Right, so is it a new cost that we hadn't initially put it in the budget, or is it something that fees have increased over last year?
Well, we did.
Stop me if I overspeak, but that contract's been frozen for,
Since 2011.
Is this the one with the fire department in town?
It's with the
Yeah.
volunteer.
The volunteer.
paid on
Paid
call.
on call.
That's the 25 paid on-call members that come
We-
out when we need them.
Okay,
Yeah, and we have discussed, and I have negotiated with them, and we have reviewed the contract with Shane and I.
Okay.
We are thinking that that's a good contract, we sent it to them. Most of those guys drive B trucks. So
Sure.
they haven't been able to ratify, it, but their leadership has said, we would be agreeable to this contract. It does increase this year over what we had thought it would be by 7,000.
okay. All right, thanks.
So,
Can I just ask the reduced, like, it sounded like Wharf Ford's, like, command post was pretty rough. Are we, are we okay with reducing it by 8,000?
Not that.
Don, do you have any feelings about that?
well, here's the guy who knows.
You have some options.
No, so it's one of those things, now we had that in the initial budget proposal, and the biggest concern, we don't own that building.
Right,
Yes, that place is in disarray. So my first thought was I've been trying to reach out to find an alternate source.
okay,
Knowing that we have Trinity right there, and they're accepting the responsibility of having that room housed right there, I'm still in the process of trying to find an alternate one that, obviously with the expressions that were made, not going in and dumping money into the old barber shop there to bring that back up to snuff. And I don't know, that might be a rabbit hole anyways.
Sure.
But this was just an avenue to attempt to make sure that we had something that the people in that ward, you know, they recognize that location and stuff.
Right.
So I figured maybe it would be worth at least trying to look into. At this point in time, I think that's something that we can strike from the budget, and I'll just have to do some legwork, and I will find an alternate
alternate
source.
space. Okay, cool. That's just what I wanted to know, because it seemed pretty rough when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
All right,
So, as you can see, all of the departments have been very cooperative. We've spent, I can't tell you how much
So
time.
do we have the reserve number yet?
Not really.
Yeah.
What's the
I
range?
even with the audit?
What's the range?
Okay, and here's how it is. We think we have a number, okay? But we can't tell you, one, that that's it, and two, we can't tell you the sources of the number, and whether they're assigned, committed,
Right.
reserved, or unreserved. That's the problem. I'm not
And-
being a lawyer here.
But when will we know that?
Well, we'll have John, our auditor here, and he will give you.
During the
his-
presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
He will give you his best answer. I know, it's,
It's all right.
I'm
I'm a
more
little
frustrated
concerned
than
about
you.
like how unsure we are. How is it that we've gone through the audit and we're still unsure?
A lot of the items that we are unsure about, we need to have direction from you,
So then,
essentially,
if,
right?
I mean,
To reassign these dollars.
well, we need a number first, but so if we're unable to get this number, I'm just gonna pull a number out and say, this is what I want to cover for reserves. Bring the number
So-
down and just be reckless that way. Because
Okay.
it's like,
And-
we just can't get a number.
no, and that's,
They're working on it.
what we're doing is, we're
Listen,
gonna,
I get it,
will
they're
we
working
I
on
guess
it, but-
at the end of the
but-
day, will
but-
we have that number
But
when we do
I've been
presentation?
asking for this number for 3 years I've been on this council. So understand my frustration.
Yeah, will we
No, I-
have the number though when presentation happens? That's the question.
and what Audrey and I have discussed, and we're discussing it with the auditor, is we want to just draw a line and say, damn it, this is gonna be the number. We can't go back through all the papers and say, absolutely sure, this is the source of the number. But we just have to draw a line and say, here's what it
What I'm
is.
gonna wanna know for this year's budget is what was last year's number and what is this year's number. That's the two things I'm gonna wanna know.
Okay.
Yep,
And when is that? I'm sorry, can you remind me when are they coming in again?
November 6th.
November 6th.
Yep.
And when when do the prelim taxes go out to,
I don't know that.
Constituents.
But just, you asked the question about what are we gonna do? When the
Yeah.
preliminary number goes up, okay. One, I will be appearing on Valley Talk. Two, we will reconfigure the statement we put out before on our website to say, here's the number, here's what it meant, and here's what we've done to bring it down.
Okay. Because I
And
think
people
at the end
want-
of the day, that's what we're gonna get all the phone calls about.
If people want, if you get phone calls, send them our way, we'll talk to them. Two, if you know of groups that want to be talked to, Audrey and I are available to do that. Probably accompanied by a department head, just, yes.
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, like, they're just gonna wanna know that it's, like, no, it's not 65, and it's gonna be this.
And hopefully we'll have one of these sheets, but that's why we did it this way. And you can talk to the constituents now and say, hey, we're down. We're not at 65. Even adding back in, let's say that 100,000. You know, at $29,000 each, that's only 4%. So it is being worked on. You have concrete information, and the department heads all deserve thank yous. I mean, they put a lot of work in this thing. And Audrey and I made the initial mistake of scheduling just an hour. Now we're at 2. Because it's
What
a
about,
process.
what about the interest made on our investments? You said last meeting I would have that number this meeting.
I want to say I didn't have time, but I forgot to.
Okay.
Because we were focusing on this.
Can we have it next meeting?
I think we can. Audrey, we can.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, it might not be right to the penny because we get summaries ongoing, but we can give you a general idea.
Because that's the other source I was possibly looking into, bringing our levy down if we use that interest to stick in, and then using that to bring our levy down. You know, and then possibly, I was thinking tonight as we're going through that cash land, it was 111,000, or 111 acres at $150. What?
$16,000.
$16,000.
$16,500 roughly.
Right, so, I mean, maybe that could be, something like that could be used towards bringing our levy down.
Well, it's all part of our income, it's
Right.
part of what we have. But, yeah, they were receptive, and we just, just for you, Shane, we got the increase plus more that we asked for the county on our fire service. They said, why not pay the whole thing? You and I know what that means, but, yeah.
Cash rent land, though, we pay taxes on it too.
So, can I just clarify a couple things as we're going into this? One, I want to make sure that we're still on track for doing the municipal finance plan, and that the infrastructure assessment is still part of what will be happening.
100%, when you saw those 60,000s on the various, that is a component of paying for that.
Okay.
Yes, it's still there, and once we have the analysis, then we can start working on the municipal finance plan, which would include perhaps bonding, to what level, and use of some of our present resources.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yep.
All right, thank you, everybody. We are adjourned.
Thank you.